Chapter 233. Bastard. Su Yi's gaze suddenly turned serious as the yuan qi in his body gushed out from his meridians. At this moment, Su Yi's 6th level profound origin realm aura wasn't held back at all. It was as if all the yuan qi in his Dantian's ocean was gathering in his fist. Shaking his arm, Su Yi threw out a punch as his fist glowed brightly. Overlord Fist. At the same time, Su Yi roared in his heart as he threw out a punch towards the giant bear's paw. Rumble! As soon as the two of them collided, Su Yi's fist, which was glowing brightly, seemed to expand. There was a clear sound of wind and thunder, like the sound of thunder rumbling. It was as if an overlord had awakened and an emperor had descended. A huge pressure resounded. A terrifying yuan qi burst out from Su Yi's fist like an erupting volcano. At this moment, the few barbaric beasts behind the wild bear tribe felt the aura from Su Yi's body. Their bodies trembled for no reason as their eyes were filled with fear. Buzz! At this moment, under everyone's gaze, the surrounding space seemed to be fluctuating. Waves of violent energy suddenly exploded as Su Yi and the ground aura barbaric bear's fist and paw collided. The huge gale formed a shockwave that shot out like a storm. The gale swept across like a storm. Deng deng, the group of wild bear tribe's young men and women staggered back. Some of them even fell to the ground. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. The ground aura barbaric bear's 6 feet tall body immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood. Its body flew out horizontally and landed heavily on the ground. The bear's paw was badly mangled. The ground aura barbaric bear's ferocious eyes were filled with fear and shock. Then, its pupils shrunk and it closed its eyes in fear. It was actually killed. The boys and girls of the wild bear tribe were stumbling around. They thought that Su Yi would be trampled by the ground aura barbarian bear, but they didn't expect such an unbelievable result. And ground aura barbarian bear, at the peak of the 9th level of the demon profound realm, was killed by a single punch. Xiong was even more dumbfounded. The sneer in his eyes was instantly replaced by shock. It was as if he had seen a ghost. He could not accept this result. Su Yi was also secretly stunned by the strength of this punch, and then he was very satisfied. However, Su Yi wasn't particularly happy about killing an Earth Aura barbarian bear at the peak of the 8th stage with a single punch. Firstly, the earthly astral barbarian bear's bloodline was inferior to the barbaric heavenly leopard's. Furthermore, Su Yi had the intention to verify that he was at the 6th level of the origin profound realm and had even executed the Overlord Fist. Like I said, it's best not to provoke me. Su Yi sneered as he stared at the wild bear tribe members. Then, he walked towards Xiong. What are you trying to do? Seeing Su Yi walking towards him, Xiong heart palpitated for no reason. There was still a shadow in his heart. The group of wild bear tribe members were also shocked at this moment. What a powerful young man from the outside. He looked young, but he killed an Earth Aura barbarian bear at the peak of the 8th stage of the demon profound realm with a single punch. He's too powerful. Since you dare to provoke me, you will have to pay the price. As soon as Su Yi finished his words, his body suddenly sped up. His palm was as fast as lightning as it struck towards Xiong. Boom! Xiong expression changed drastically. He subconsciously executed the savage scripture, and a vortex-like radiance gushed out from his eyes. An ancient and terrifying aura seemed to be able to suppress the surroundings. Bang! However, everything was too late. Just as Xiong executed the savage scripture, Su Yi's palm had already landed on his chest. PFFF! A huge force surged, and Xiong spat out a mouthful of blood. His body, which looked like a small barbarian bear, flew out and smashed onto the ground. He could no longer get up. Everyone was dumbfounded. The remaining young men and women of the barbarian bear tribe looked at each other in dismay. Quick, let's attack together. Let's attack together. A few of the older members came back to their senses. Their expressions changed drastically, and weapons appeared in their hands. Their auras surged, and they planned to attack together. Boom! The group of wild bear tribe members came back to their senses, and their auras surged out. They had the advantage in numbers, and when they gathered together, their aura was impressive. Humph! Su Yi's eyes darkened. Yuan Qi gushed out from his feet, and he let out a cold shout. His body was like a shadow as he dashed out. Bang! Bang bang! Pfff! His body was as fast as lightning, and his movements were unpredictable. Low and deep sounds could be heard continuously. Su Yi stepped out with the Fuyao 100 transformation steps, and his hands were wide open. Every punch and palm strike would send a wild bear tribe member flying out while vomiting blood. There were many young men and women in this punch, but the strongest among them, Xiong Lai, was only at the peak of the 4th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Back then, he was severely injured by Su Yi when he was at the 2nd level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Now that Su Yi had stepped into the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm, even though these wild bear tribe members weren't ordinary, how could they be a match for Su Yi? With Su Yi's Fuyao 100 transformation steps, these wild bear tribe members couldn't even touch the corner of Su Yi's clothes. Bang bang bang! One figure after another crashed onto the ground, and all of them vomited blood. They couldn't even get up. In just a short period of time, over 20 people were lying on the ground, unable to move. Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment. Before they set off, they didn't expect this foreign young man to be so powerful. They originally thought that bringing out an Earth Aura Barbarian Bear, at the peak of the 8th level of the Demon Profound Realm was enough. Who would have thought that this would be the outcome? Roar! From afar, there was a deafening tiger roar, and the sound of wind breaking could be heard. After Su Yi sent the last young man flying, he raised his head and looked in the direction of the tiger roar. Soon, a huge tiger galloped over. On the tiger's back was a young man who looked to be about 15 or 16 years old. Behind the young man and the tiger, there were a few ferocious savage beasts as mounts. There were a total of 20 young men and women riding on them. It's the wild bear tribe. It's Xiong Lai. He seems to be severely injured. It's him. That's the kid. He's Yi Su. When this group of young men and women appeared, they saw the messy valley. They immediately saw the members of the wild bear tribe covered in blood and injuries. Some of the young men and women who had seen Su Yi before exclaimed. At this moment it was Tiger Cub and his group from the tribe of tiger hunters. Tiger Cub and his group were about to attack when they happened to pass by. They heard the huge commotion and came over. They originally thought that it might be the people from the Spirit Ancient Village hunting, who knew that they would see Xiong Lai from the wild bear tribe and that foreign young man. Did you injure them? Tiger Cub was secretly shocked. He looked at Xiong Lai lying on the ground, unable to get up. There was also an Earth Aura Barbarian Bear that seemed to have been killed. He looked at Su Yi and asked, "That's right. Are you here for me too?" Chapter 234. Hearing Su Yi's words, Hu Cub and the rest of the tribe of tiger hunters' expressions changed. However, they weren't too surprised. Even Brother Hu Mo and Brother Hu Yu were defeated. Although Xiong Lai's strength isn't weak and should be able to fight against Brother Hu Mo or Brother Hu Yu, he's definitely not a match for Brother Hu Mo and Brother Hu Yu. Hu Cub and the others were secretly surprised by the ground Aura Barbarian Bear that had been blasted to death. Moreover, more than 20 barbarian bear tribesmen were lying on the ground in a disorderly manner. It was extremely shocking and intimidating. "You're the one who stole the azure frost grass from my tribe of tiger hunters?" A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow, but Hu Cub secretly suppressed the trembling in his heart and asked Su Yi. This time, he brought his trump card. He doesn't believe that he can't take care of this foreign brat. Seeing Hu Cub and the rest of the tribe of tiger hunters coming over, the wild bear tribe members on the ground didn't say anything. Looking at the atmosphere, they hoped that the tribe of tiger hunters would be able to fight with that brat. If that brat loses, then it'll be considered as revenge. If the tribe of tiger hunters also suffers a loss, then they'll be dragged down with them. So you're here to look for trouble. Could it be that this rock-splitting demon tiger is your trump card? Su Yi's gaze swept across the group of youths from the tiger hunting tribe. Finally, his gaze fell upon the ferocious tiger at the front. The tiger's body was glowing. Its eyes were filled with an ominous glint. It was glaring like a tiger looking at its prey. Its entire body was pale gold and emitted the aura of a king. This is the rock-splitting demon tiger. Its bloodline is much stronger than the ground aura barbarian bear. It's a metal-attributed demon beast. Its attack power is the most terrifying, and it's sharp and swift. It's very powerful. Su Yi could feel the aura of this rock-splitting demon tiger. It's probably not far from the demon spirit realm. It seems like it's the same as the wild bear tribe. This tribe of tiger hunters also brought out their demon beast. The rock-splitting demon tiger was the backing of these brats. You know that this is the rock-splitting demon tiger, so you should know the consequences. Today you will pay the price. We will avenge Huamo and brother Hu Yu. Hu Cub looked straight at Su Yi. Since the conversation had reached this point, there was no need to avoid it. He didn't expect to meet this brat here, so he naturally couldn't let him go. Is that so? Then let's do it. Tiger bones, tiger penis, tiger meat, they should all be worth a lot. Su Yi smiled faintly and immediately walked towards the rock-splitting demon tiger. Instead of retreating, he advanced, looking very valiant. After killing an earthly aura barbarian bear with a single punch, Su Yi had a clear idea of his own combat strength. This rock-splitting demon tiger was even stronger than the ground aura barbarian bear, but it wasn't enough to cause Su Yi to be afraid. Since a few brats from the tribe of tiger hunters dared to cause trouble for him, he naturally wouldn't be polite. Seeing Su Yi advancing instead of retreating, the tribe of tiger hunters looked at each other. Everything seemed to be different from what they had imagined. In their imagination, this brat would probably kneel down and beg for mercy when he saw the rock-splitting demon tiger. But now, it seemed that the situation was the complete opposite. Brat, do you want to die? Attack! Hu Cub was stunned for a moment, then his eyes darkened as he gave the order to the rock-splitting demon tiger. Roar! The rock-splitting demon tiger, who had been eyeing Su Yi covetously, could no longer hold itself back. It let out a low roar. Its body was not particularly large, but it was pale yellow in color and emitted a bright light. Its aura was fierce, as oppressive as a mountain. A ferocious aura swept across the area. The tiger's roar was like thunder, deafening everyone's eardrums. The tiger, who was about to pounce, leaped up and pounced directly at Su Yi. Like a ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey, its ferocious aura swept out. A peak 9th tier demon profound realm aura instantly burst out. Bastard, you're courting death. Su Yi's eyes darkened. This bastard was going all out and didn't hold back. It was treating him as its prey. This made Su Yi furious. Boom! The Origin Supreme technique was activated. Suddenly, a surge of black yuan qi from Su Yi's body was activated. A surge of earth attributed yuan qi gathered at his right foot. He didn't hold back the aura of a 6th tier yuan profound realm. His eyes flashed with a dazzling light and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His aura seemed to carry the fury of thunder. 8 Desolation Fury, suppressing the mountains and rivers with a single stomp. Su Yi roared in his heart. At the same time, he stomped his right foot and a yuan qi whirlpool swept out like a storm. Rumble! The earth trembled and the air rumbled. Rings of black earth attributed yuan qi energy swept out like waves from where Su Yi's foot landed. Cracks as thick as an arm began to spread out like a spider web. Crack, crack. The surrounding rocks and broken trees were all shattered into dust in an instant. Awoo! At this moment, the eyes of the savage beasts of the barbarian bear tribe and the hunting tiger tribe, including the hunting wind condor, trembled violently and roared in response. The rock-splitting demonic tiger had been eyeing Su-Yi covetously and pounced on its prey. Its huge tiger claws were already descending towards Su-Yi. Suddenly, the rock-splitting demonic tiger seemed to have sensed something. Its ferocious eyes changed drastically. The ferocious killing intent in its eyes was instantly replaced by shock. Its attack was forcefully stopped. Boom! A huge shockwave spread through the ground and swept up. In just an instant, the rock-splitting demonic tiger let out a dull roar of pain. Its huge body staggered backwards as if it was about to be overturned. Plop! The tiger cub on the tiger's back was sent flying and heavily smashed onto the ground. Overlord Fist! Su-Yi's figure flashed out like lightning. As the rock-splitting demonic tiger staggered backwards, Su-Yi did not stop. He activated the Origin Supreme technique and gathered the Overlord Fist. Yuan Qi surged in his body. In the most brutal and direct way, he punched out and landed directly on the rock-splitting demonic tiger's head. Bang! Y/Cool Craftsman and Net Plus. Zheng. Version 3\1*U*H+. This punch was simple and direct. It let out a dull thud and a burst of light. Waves of wind swept across the surroundings, causing sand and rocks to fly. Roar! The rock-splitting demonic tiger let out a blood-curdling scream. Its huge body lay flat on the ground. Blood flowed from its forehead. Its skull had actually been shattered. Kill! The rock-splitting demonic tiger's ferocity made Su-Yi want to kill it at this moment. As the rock-splitting demonic tiger lay flat on the ground, Yuan Qi surged. Su-Yi's 3 consecutive punches landed on its forehead. Bang! 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 The 3 punches fell like rain, accompanied by a domineering and majestic aura. The rock-splitting demonic tiger's forehead was shattered and blood spurted out. After letting out a blood-curdling scream, the rock-splitting demonic tiger's eyes gradually closed. It couldn't be more dead. All the members of the tribe of tiger hunters were dumbfounded. They couldn't come back to their senses. Although Xiong Lai and the rest of the wild bear tribe were still lying on the ground, they had witnessed this scene with their own eyes. They were already shocked that Su-Yi could kill an 8th-rank demon Profound Realm Ground Aura Barbarian Bear. Chapter 235. After killing a 9th-level demon Profound Realm Demonic Tiger, Su-Yi's face turned completely pale. Executing the Overlord Fist and 8 Desolation Wrath at the same time, in addition to using the Overlord Fist to kill the ground Aura Barbaric Bear, had consumed too much energy. Especially just now, Su-Yi knew that if he didn't use his full strength, he wouldn't be able to take down a 9th-level demon Profound Realm Demonic Tiger. And Su-Yi was very satisfied with the result. At the 6th level of the Profound Origin Realm, he was able to kill a 9th-level demon Profound Realm Demonic Tiger with his full strength by executing the Overlord Fist and 8 Desolation Wrath. This was the power of the Origin Supreme technique. Of course, Su-Yi was well aware that this didn't mean that he could deal with a 9th-level Profound Origin Realm Demonic Tiger. Under normal circumstances, a 9th-level demon Profound Realm Demonic Tiger would definitely be much stronger than a 9th-level Profound Origin Realm Demonic Tiger. But Su-Yi knew his own situation. His Origin Supreme technique was able to suppress the demonic tiger, which was why he had the upper hand. If he were to encounter a peak 9th-level Yuan Profound Realm practitioner, then the outcome would be unknown. It was hard to say. It's your turn. Ignoring the rock-splitting tiger that was killed, Su-Yi flicked his long sleeve. His figure flashed towards the group of young men and women from the tribe of tiger hunters at lightning speed. Bang, bang, bang! Suddenly, low muffled sounds could be heard. Su-Yi didn't show any mercy when he attacked. Since these guys dared to come after him, he wouldn't be polite. Su-Yi attacked fiercely. Although he had consumed a lot of energy, he was still able to deal with the group of young men and women from the tribe of tiger hunters, who weren't even as strong as the wild bear tribe. As Sui pounced, a terrifying aura erupted. It was swift and fierce, and some of the tribe of tiger hunters were sent flying before they could react. Sand and pebbles flew in all directions. Boulders exploded, and debris turned into fine powder. Strong winds swept through the area. Very soon, the group of young men and women completely understood why the people of the barbarian bear tribe were lying on the ground in such a disorderly manner. It turned out that this outsider youth called Isu was actually powerful to such an extent. The last youth from the tribe of tiger hunters was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood as his body smashed into the ground in the distance. His face was covered in dust and his complexion was deathly pale. He could no longer move. Awoo! A few savage beast mounts cried out miserably. They couldn't escape and were heavily injured by Su Yi's suppression. They roared miserably. "You're still not strong enough to deal with me." Su Yi clapped his hands. At this moment, he could be considered to be rich and overbearing. Popping a pill into his mouth, he swept his gaze across the group of people on the ground who could no longer get up. The effect was very satisfactory. "Isu, what else do you want?" The tiger cub opened his mouth and struggled to sit up. Looking at Su Yi, the shock in his eyes couldn't be erased. Blood flowed from his mouth as he gritted his teeth and asked, "Don't worry, at least I won't kill you." Su Yi swept his gaze across this group of people from the wild bear tribe and tribe of tiger hunters. He didn't kill them. After all, this wasn't the outside world. The wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters were filled with experts. If the younger generation were to go all out, the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters wouldn't be able to do anything because of the spirit ancient village. But if he were to kill someone today, it would be different. "If you dare to kill us, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe won't let you go." A muscular young man from the wild bear tribe looked at the foreign young man with fear in his eyes. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Could it be that the people from the outside world were all so strong? "I told you, but I won't kill you," Su Yi said with an indifferent expression. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. A faint smile hung on his face as he said, "However, a lesson is unavoidable. If you want to deal with me, you will have to pay a price that you will never forget for the rest of your lives." "Su Yi, I swear I won't let you off." "Isu, my tribe of tiger hunters will not let you go." "Isu, you shameless bastard. I won't let you off." A moment later, the valley was filled with angry curses. Resentment rose in all directions, and they were furious, but there was nothing they could do. "Despicable, shameless. How can you be so shameless? You're too despicable." Some young girls also shouted. Looking at everything in front of him, the wind-hunting eagle was also dumbfounded. It was tongue-tied, and its big round eyes flickered uncertainly. 47 CZ Original Version Square Root Chapter F to the power of 8 Cool, Carpenter RP. This human young man was actually so ferocious and terrifying. A bunch of little brats, unknowingly, Su Tianke had already arrived beside the two little wind-hunting demonic eagles in the valley. That seemed to be the nest of the wind-hunting demonic eagles. Su Tianke leaned there and quietly watched everything below, unconcerned. It was another early morning, and the sun shone on the ancient village. In the spirit ancient village, the atmosphere in the entire village was somewhat oppressive and gloomy. Even the children and young girls who usually went around slacking off and playing had quieted down. At the village square, 3 young figures were standing there, looking out of the village, as if waiting for something. The 3 young men were young, around 16 or 17 years old. They were Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu and Shangguan Yi. "Children, go back. I'm afraid Isu, that young man, is." Under the morning sun, an old man in the village appeared and said to the 3 of them, No, I want to wait for my father to come back. I want to wait for Brother Isu's corpse to be buried in peace, Shangguan Rock said, looking out of the village, his eyes firm and persistent. He had already asked his father to bring some of the village's experts up Demon Mountain. It had been 2 days, and for some reason, his father had not returned. Let's wait together. At least we have to wait for Brother Isu's corpse, Shangguan Yi said. Brother Isu was swallowed by the iron-armored rhinoceros because of us. If it wasn't for Brother Isu, we would have died twice, Shangguan Yu said. Isu, that young man. Heaven is jealous of his talent. An old man sighed. It was a pity. That young man was very strong, and he saved the younger generation of the village time and time again. Children, our village will remember Isu, that young man. You've been standing here for 3 days and 3 nights. Go back and rest. When the experts of the village return, they will inform you of the result. A woman in the village persuaded Shangguan Rock and the other 2. Brother, was Brother Isu really swallowed by the iron-armored rhinoceros? Is Brother Isu really not coming back? I like him a lot. He even promised me that he would tell me many things about the outside world. Some young children and girls had sadness in their pure and bright eyes. They were still too young and only knew the meaning of life and death. It's been 3 days and 3 nights. Children, go back and rest. Children, why don't we wait for you? You go back and rest first. More and more people came out of the village to persuade Shangguan Rock and the other 2. No, I want to wait for Brother Isu's corpse personally, even if it's just bones. Chapter 236. Shangguan Rock was a little regretful. He regretted not pulling Isu back then. He could not forgive himself for watching him get swallowed by the iron-armored demonic rhinoceros while he escaped with his life. If I could do it all over again, even if I die, I would never let Brother Isu stop that evil beast alone, Shangguan Rock said to himself in his heart. He was filled with regret. Screech, early in the morning, under the sun, a wind-hunting demonic eagle spread its wings and hovered at a low altitude, then slowly landed. Bang bang! A huge object was thrown off the back of the wind-hunting demonic eagle and smashed to the ground. Whoosh whoosh, then, a figure jumped off the back of the wind-hunting demonic eagle. His hair and clothes fluttered slightly, but his thin figure was particularly tall and straight, revealing the aura of a mountain. Spirit Ancient Village is in front. We finally found it. Original E-version Premiere Plus. From the back of the wind-hunting demonic eagle, a bald chicken that was talking also landed. Its short wings flapped, and its expression made people unable to hold back their laughter. Let's go back. The thin young man tidied up the broken sword and a large saber on his back, clapped his hands, and said to the wind-hunting demonic eagle that was hovering at a low altitude. Screech! The wind-hunting demonic eagle let out a low cry and flapped its wings lightly as if it was saluting. Its eyes were filled with awe, and then it spread its wings and left. The thin young man was Su-yi, who had returned from the Demon Mountain. Because he was delayed for a while and was not familiar with the road, it took him a little more time to return. Let's go back to the village. Looking at the entrance of Spirit Ancient Village in the distance, Su-yi's lips curled into a smile. Other than the Su family, this was the second time he felt like he was going home. Why can't we eat a little first? It must taste good. Su Tianke looked regretfully at the huge object that had just been thrown off the back of the wind-hunting demonic eagle. He licked his lips as if his saliva was about to flow out. This huge object was actually the body of a big tiger, and on the tiger's body, there were 4 huge bare paws tightly tied with vines. The tiger body was the rock-shattering demon tiger that was killed by Su-yi, and the bare paw was cut off from the earthly aura barbarian bear. You only know how to eat. What peacock! I was surrounded by the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. Where did you run off to? You still want to eat? Su-yi kicked Su Tianke. This guy was obviously strong, but when he fought against the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters, he was nowhere to be seen. Su Tianke flapped his wings and dodged Su Yi's kick. He rolled his eyes at Su Yi and said innocently, "What do you mean by surrounded? You were the one who was beating up those kids. I didn't even need to do anything. Don't forget, if it wasn't for me, you would have been swallowed by that iron rhino. I'm your savior, so you have to call me Big Brother from now on. Scram! I killed the iron rhinoceros myself. You are no match for the iron rhinoceros." Sui raised his eyebrows and took a deep breath. He bent his knees slightly and grabbed the rock-shattering demon tiger with both hands. Using his strength from the ground, he immediately lifted the tiger's body onto his shoulders. This huge tiger was about a few meters long. Although its body wasn't particularly huge, it definitely weighed about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds with the addition of 4 huge bear paws. Coupled with the strange weight of the broken sword on his back, Su Yi's body began to tremble when the weight of 7,000 to 8,000 pounds fell on him. A surge of yuan qi gushed out from his body, and Su Yi's trembling body immediately straightened up. Su Yi couldn't carry the weight of 7,000 to 8,000 pounds with just the strength of his body. He would be crushed. However, it was different if he used his yuan qi. Although Su Yi still had some difficulty, it was no longer a problem for him. "Brat, I risked my life to save you." Su Tianke followed behind Su Yi, rolling his eyes so hard that they were about to fall out of their sockets. "That's because we swore to die on the same day, month, and year. You're afraid that if I die, you'll be struck by lightning if you don't." Su Yi carried the huge tiger and bear paws on his back and walked towards the entrance of the village. "All right, I won't save you next time." Late in the morning, at the entrance of the Spirit Ancient Village, many people gathered together. A large group of people, old and young, many of them were old people. "Brother Yen, we're here to accompany you." Shangguan Xiu and the others also came. They brought along the young boys and girls who escaped from Demon Mountain. They had been meditating for the past few days. When they found out that Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, and Shangguan Yu had been waiting at the entrance of the village for 3 days and 3 nights, they all came out and wanted to accompany them. "Without Brother Isu, we would all be dead. He saved all of us. At least we should wait for his corpse," a young boy said with a sad expression. "You all know how to repay kindness. You're all descendants of Spirit Ancient Village. Let's wait. I hope we can find his corpse and give him a proper burial." Some of the old people were touched, and their eyes were filled with admiration. Being able to repay kindness proved the moral character of these young people. One's moral character was more important than one's talent. "Brother, we'll wait with you." Some young boys and girls and the children said that they wanted to wait with Shangguan Rock and the others. "Isu is the benefactor of Spirit Ancient Village. If we can find his corpse, we'll bury him in our village." Some of the old people discussed. A barbaric beast is coming." Suddenly, someone saw a huge figure slowly walking over from a distance outside the village entrance. "It doesn't look like a barbaric beast. Look, someone is coming." "It's not a barbaric beast. It looks like someone is carrying a big tiger." Many pairs of eyes stared outside the village. It wasn't a barbaric beast. It was clearly a skinny figure carrying a huge tiger as he walked over. Swish, swish, everyone carefully looked forward. Under the sunlight, a thin figure walked slowly, as if every step was going to sink into the ground. However, it was incomparably tall and straight like a mountain. Looking carefully, that person was carrying a big tiger on his shoulder. His hands were holding 2 pieces of tiger bones. 4 huge bear paws were hanging, almost drowning that thin figure. From afar, it looked like a barbarian demon beast had arrived. Looking at that figure, everyone at the entrance of the village was stunned. This kind of appearance was too visually shocking, and it made people speechless. "It's Isu. It's that young man. He's not dead." An old man's eyes were clear, and he could see into the distance. He was stunned and immediately said, "Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu," and Shangguan Yi were stunned. They couldn't help but rub their eyes hard, thinking that they were seeing things. Chapter 237. Isu stood at the entrance of the village, and raised his head slightly. He was surprised to see so many people standing at the entrance of the village. When he saw some familiar figures, he panted and shouted, "Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Yi, come and help me. I'm exhausted." "Why are you standing there? We're back." A bald chicken walked out. Its voice was crisp and clear, and it walked slowly with its tail between its legs. "Isu, it's brother Isu. It's brother Isu. He's not dead. Brother Isu is not dead. He's not dead. Brother Isu is still alive." When that familiar voice sounded, Shangguan Yen, Shangguan Yi, and Shangguan Yu couldn't help but tremble, their bodies quivering. Then, the three figures rushed forward with tears in their eyes. "It's Isu. He's not dead. He's back." Shangguan Xiu and the other boys and girls also came back to their senses and rushed forward. Brother Isu, a bunch of little brats followed behind him, their voices young and tender. At the entrance of the village, a group of villagers looked at each other and then showed joy. "Brother Isu!" A group of figures rushed forward excitedly. "What are you doing?" Su-yi was stunned. He immediately threw the body of the rock-splitting demon tiger off his shoulder. Looking at the posture of the crowd, it seemed that something was wrong. "Brother Isu, so you're not dead. You scared me to death." "Ha ha ha, brother Isu is not dead. He's not dead." Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and Shangguan Yi jumped over the body of the rock-splitting demon tiger and directly pounced on Su-yi. The three of them hugged the stunned Su-yi tightly. They were so excited that they cried tears of joy. Their eyes were brimming with tears and they refused to let go. They seemed to be afraid that if they let go, the person in front of them would suddenly disappear. "Brother Isu!" A group of young men and women also rushed up. They were all extremely excited, and their joy could not be concealed. "Su Tianke, it's great that you're all still alive." Shangguan Xiu was very happy to see Su Tianke and reached out to hug him. "Grandpa K is still alive." Su Tianke rolled his eyes at Shangguan Xiu and avoided her. "Chick, you're back too." A group of children ran up and surrounded Su Tianke. They were all very happy. "Go away, little brat." Su Tianke dodged. "Chick, we won't eat you. Don't be afraid." A little girl spoke up. Her hair was braided, extremely cute. "Ignorant brat, you're pissing me off." Su Tianke was depressed. He was a peacock after all. He flapped his short wings and tried to dodge. Plop! A child with a strong head but clear eyes pounced on Su Tianke and pinned him under his body. "Ha ha, I caught you. Don't worry, we won't eat you." The little guy was overjoyed. He hugged Su Tianke tightly and refused to let go. "I'm so angry." Su Tianke was so angry that his eyeballs were about to pop out. "Don't be afraid. You saved Sister Xiu and Brother Yen. We won't want to eat you in the future," a child said to Su Tianke seriously. Su Tianke was very sullen. These little guys were too naughty. The rock-splitting demon tiger and the ground aura barbarian bear's paw. A group of villagers also came up. They were very surprised to see the tiger's body and the bear's paw on the ground. "It's good that he's not dead. God is watching over him," a kind old man said. "Children, let's go back to the village." "Isu must be tired," a woman said with a smile. Some of the strong people in the village had already carried the tiger's body back to the village. "Let's go back first." Su-yi was dragged back to the village under the crowd's joyous escort. Everyone was overjoyed. "Isu isn't dead. He's back." Look at Chapter W, Chapter A. The news spread like wildfire. Many villagers ran out of the village. They were all very happy. Su Yi saved many of the young people in the village this time. He risked his own life to save them. The villagers were very touched. "Child, you're still alive. Thank the heavens." An old lady thanked the heavens. "Isu, look at your clothes. They're dirty. Take them off later. Auntie will wash them for you." A woman said, "Brother Isu, what happened? You were clearly swallowed by the iron rhinoceros." In the village, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Rock, and the others had calmed down a lot. They asked Su Yi. "It's a long story. The iron rhinoceros was running out of oil. I took the opportunity to escape. It's a pity that I accidentally broke the demon core." It wasn't that Su Yi didn't believe them. It was just that it was better to hide the fact that the broken sword suddenly exploded. It's great to be able to come back alive and avoid a disaster. No one asked any questions. They all knew that the iron-armored rhinoceros was already at the end of its life. As for the demon core, no one cared. Even if the demon core was placed in front of them, they would still think that the demon core belonged to this young man. From the others, Su Yi found out that Shangguan Rock had been waiting at the entrance of the village for 3 days and 3 nights. He wanted to retrieve his corpse. There were also experts from the village who had gone to the Demon Mountain. Shangguan Shiwei led the way, but they hadn't returned yet. Looking at the pure joy in everyone's eyes, as well as the passion and concern that came from the bottom of their hearts, Su Yi felt warmth in his heart. Then, from Su Yi, everyone found out that Xiong Lai of the Wild Bear Tribe and Tiger Cub of the Tribe of Tiger Hunters had brought powerful barbaric beasts to the Demon Mountain. Their purpose was to deal with Su Yi. But when they found out that Su Yi had killed an 8th-tier demon Profound Realm Ground Aura Barbaric Bear and a Demon Spirit Realm Cracker Tiger, they were even more dumbfounded. Numerous gazes were fixated on Su Yi. This fellow was truly terrifyingly powerful and unfathomable. How shameless! He actually brought barbaric beasts to the Demon Mountain. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and the others were furious. Bringing barbaric beasts to the Demon Mountain to deal with Isu? This Tiger Cub of the Tribe of Tiger Hunters and Xiong Lai of the Wild Bear Tribe were shameless. I'm afraid those little brats are still crying. Su Tianke didn't care. He had already broken free from the brat's embrace. With his tail between his legs, he swaggered to Su Yi's side. "Brother Isu, where are Xiong Lai and Tiger Cub?" Upon hearing Su Diank's words, Shangguan Yi and the others looked at each other before asking Su Yi. Judging from Su Diank's tone, Xiong Lai and Tiger Cub should be in a miserable state right now. "Nothing much. I just taught them a lesson." Su Yi chuckled. "The Wild Bear Tribe and the Tribe of Tiger Hunters have gone too far this time. We have to tell the Wild Bear Tribe and the Tribe of Tiger Hunters." Some experts in the village were furious. This time, the Wild Bear Tribe and the Tribe of Tiger Hunters had actually brought barbaric beasts to the Demon Mountain. This was a little too much. Chapter 238. We can keep some of the bear paws and the meat of the rock-splitting demon tiger. Let the Tribe of Tiger Hunters and the Wild Bear Tribe taste it tomorrow. Isu, what do you think? An old man smiled and asked Su Yi. Su Yi turned his eyes and smiled knowingly. He nodded to the old man and said, "I'll listen to you, elder." "Fine, we'll leave some behind. The rest will be used to nourish the bodies of the younger generation. The village will make an exception and bring out some 100-fruit wine to celebrate Isu's survival." The elder spoke. He was an elder of the village and had an extremely high status among the elders. "Great, we can drink 100-fruit wine. We can also eat tiger meat." "That's great." The group of young people was very excited. They could drink white fruit wine again. Su Yi bid farewell to everyone and returned to the courtyard. The village chief, Grandmother Shangguan Qingya, was not in the courtyard. Su Yi entered the room and was about to adjust his breathing for a while when a voice came from outside the door. Someone was coming. Su Yi walked out of the courtyard and saw several aunties. Child, these clothes are clean. Take them and change. Look at you, go take a bath. The aunties brought some clothes to Sue. Thank you, Auntie. Sue was very grateful. These clothes were not gorgeous, but they were very simple and unadorned. Warmth flowed in his heart. After sending the aunties away, Sue stood in the courtyard in a daze. He thought of a vague figure in his mind from the aunties. He did not know where his mother was now and whether she was safe. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune. It's good that you're back. A faint voice came into Sue's ears. Sue turned around and a kind face appeared in front of him. There were no wrinkles on the face and his complexion was rosy. He was slightly hunchbacked and his hair was black with a mix of silver. It was the village chief. Grandmother Shangwan. Sue bowed. You look like you're in a daze. Are you missing home or your family? Shangwan Qingya said with a smile. On her kind face, her calm eyes seemed to be able to see through Sue. Yes. Sue nodded slightly and smiled embarrassedly. After tomorrow's battle, I hope that Spirit Ancient Village can win. At that time, I will be able to fulfill my promise to you and return home early. Shangwan Qingya smiled and said, Of course, in the future, Spirit Ancient Village will also be your second home. You can come back whenever you want. Thank you, Granny Shangwan. Sue nodded. You're welcome. If you really want to thank Grandma, then chat with me. All these years, only that girl Shiwei has spoken to me. That girl and I depend on each other. I only have one granddaughter. Now that I have a grandson out of nowhere, I'm very happy. Shangwan Qingya said. Then I'll talk to Granny Shangwan for a while. Sue nodded. Mountain streams, exotic flowers, rare herbs, and lush trees. In the ancient wooden pavilion, Sue sat with Shangwan Qingya and looked at the mountain stream in the distance thoughtfully. Did that girl, Shiwei, tell you about her parents? Shangwan Qingya asked. Her voice was faint and her eyes were a little hazy. If it wasn't for the invisible pressure that she gave off, she would be like an ordinary old lady. I've heard a little about it, Sue said. He knew some things from Shangwan Shiwei. His mother had passed away and his father had left Spirit Ancient Village. He and his grandmother had depended on each other since young. As for the outside world, I've never gone out in my life. I don't know what it's like. When I was young, I wanted to go out and explore, but I couldn't do it. Shangwan Qingya said. There was some light in her eyes and her expression changed a little. She seemed to be thinking about the time when she was young. Sue didn't say anything. The village chief probably felt that he didn't blame his son for all these years. After a while, Shangwan Qingya looked at Sue and asked, Okay, let's talk about you. How many people do you have in your family? I have a grandfather at home. My parents left after I was born and their whereabouts are unknown. My grandfather and I depend on each other. Sue thought of his grandfather. He had been out for so long and hoped that his grandfather's body could still hold on for a while. He had to become an expert as soon as possible and then go back to treat his grandfather's injuries. He's also a poor child, just like Shiwei. Upon hearing this, Shangwan Qingya was a little surprised. Her kind face was moved. She held Sue's hand and said softly, Grandpa is very good to me. Sue smiled, the corners of his mouth lifted. The old and the young sat and chatted for a long time. Sue and Shangwan Qingya talked about a lot of interesting things about the outside world. The old lady listened carefully, as if she had regained her youth. Her face was full of curiosity, and she couldn't help but smile. Today is the happiest day for me in more than 10 years. Thank you, child. At last, Shangwan Qingya said to Sue. Her kind face was full of smiles. She hadn't been happy for a long time. If Grandma Shangwan likes it, I'll have a good talk with you another day, Sue said to Shangwan Qingya. Okay. Shangwan Qingya nodded and stood up with her slightly hunched body. Strands of silver hair could be seen clearly among her black hair. Her dark brown eyes seemed to be telling of the vicissitudes of life. She stared at Su-yi for a while, and seemed to have something to say. Grandma Shangguan, what's the matter? Su-yi asked. When you go back, if one day you meet a person called Shangguan Tianchen. Shangguan Qingya sighed slightly and said, forget it. It's all in the past. It's just that Shiwei has suffered a lot. Shangguan Tianchen? Is he Sister Shiwei's father? Su-yi asked. Okay, go back and rest. Tomorrow is the competition between Spirit Ancient Village, Wild Bear Tribe, and Tribe of Tiger Hunters. You should go and watch. The Savage Heavenly Leopard has improved a lot. If it can win again tomorrow, then Spirit Ancient Village will win this time, Shangguan Qingya said, and then asked Su-yi to go and rest. Su-yi left and didn't ask any more questions. He remembered Shangguan Tianchen's name in his heart. Back in his room, Su-yi found some water to take a bath. He changed into a clean robe given by the village auntie. After putting the knife on his back again, he closed his eyes and started to adjust his breath. After a few hours, Su-yi opened his eyes and withdrew his hand seal. His body was full of yuan qi and mental strength. He felt refreshed. I wonder what level I've reached as a soul controller. Su-yi felt that his soul power had been increasing during this period of time. Especially the last time, his soul power had improved a lot. However, he didn't know much about soul controllers. He didn't know what level he had reached as a soul controller. Brother Isu, everyone is waiting for you. Shangguan Rock's voice came from outside. Tonight, the village was going to celebrate and Su-yi was the star. When Su-yi walked out of the courtyard, it was already dusk. There's meat and fruit wine. Chapter 239. When Su-yi arrived at the square, a large group of villagers were already waiting for him. They were very enthusiastic about Su-yi. The clothes fit very well. It was originally made for my Shangguan Yi, but it suits Isu better and looks better in it. A woman walked out. She was Shangguan Ye's mother. Looking at Su-yi's clothes, she smiled and sized him up. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was. Child, are you married? Why don't you stay in the village in the future? Auntie will be your matchmaker and find a pretty girl. What do you think of Xiao? A woman said with a smile. Third aunt, not far away. Shangguan Xiao heard it. Her face was full of shyness. From her neck to her earlobes, she blushed, adding a bit of charm to her youthfulness. I think Shiwei is more suitable. Does Isu like Shiwei? Another woman came forward and said with a smile. Shiwei seems to be a few years older than Isu. Xiao Air is better. Their ages are similar. That's not necessarily true. It's said that a woman 3 years older is golden. It's a good thing to be a few years older. Hearing the words of the aunts, Su-yi smiled bitterly. He could only find an excuse to leave. Night fell. The bonfire was bright. The Spirit Ancient Village was very lively. Come, Isu, this bear paw is yours. And this tiger leg, it's very fragrant. It can strengthen your body and is useful for your cultivation. Some experts in the village brought the roasted bear paw and tiger meat to Su-yi. Today, Su-yi was the main character and received the best treatment. And this meat, they picked it up from the demon Azura Mountain. After eating it, it should be very beneficial. A master also handed over a lot of barbecued meat. When Shangguan Shiwei and the others came back a few days ago, they picked up a lot of meat from the monster beasts that were killed by the iron-armored rhinoceros beast corps. Those demonic beasts were almost at the demon illusionary realm. After eating it, they would receive great benefits. Su-yi couldn't refuse even if he wanted to. He could only stand in the middle of the crowd and enjoy the treatment of the main character. Brother Isu, thank you. You saved our lives. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to come back. Several youths came forward, wanting to drink with Su-yi. Shangguan Xiao was among them, but she was a little embarrassed to raise her head. Her earlobes were still red. Don't stand on ceremony, everyone. Su-yi was free and easy. The people of this village were very simple and honest. They let down their guard and got along well with everyone else. Delicious. When the tiger meat and bear paw entered his mouth, Su-yi was full of praise. Paired with the 100 fruit wine, it was simply a delicacy that was hard to come by in one's life. Yummy, yummy! Su Tianke was already in the square, gnawing on a large piece of tiger meat, his mouth dripping with oil. Elder Qingming is back. Sister Shiwei is back. Suddenly, someone transmitted his voice. Outside the village entrance, there were flying demonic beasts circling in the air. Several figures jumped down, and all of them were Spirit Ancient Village's experts. The ones in the lead were Shangguan Qingming and Shangguan Shiwei. Shangguan Qingming, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others returned with heavy hearts. This time, not only did they fail to find the iron-armored rhinoceros, but they also encountered some trouble. Looking at the bright bonfire in the village from afar, the atmosphere was joyful, and they were secretly surprised. Sister Shiwei, Yi-Su is back. He's not dead, he's back. Shangguan Xiu ran out. She knew that Shangguan Shiwei's heart was heavy, but she endured it. She wanted to tell Shangguan Shiwei the news as soon as possible. He's back. When she heard the news, Shangguan Shiwei's tired eyes lit up, and then she was stunned. Sister Shiwei, Yi-Su is really back. He's not dead. Shangguan Xiu said. Swoosh, essence chi surged, and Shangguan Shiwei rushed out like lightning. Yi-Su isn't dead. When Shangguan Qingming and the other powerhouses heard this, their originally solemn expressions were immediately filled with surprise and joy. Shangguan Shiwei rushed to the square and saw Su-yi surrounded by a group of people of the same age. That familiar figure was now full of vigor, eating meat and drinking wine in big mouthfuls. She stopped and the light in her eyes surged. Then, she slowly restrained it. After hesitating for a moment, Shangguan Shiwei slowed down her steps and walked over. Sister Shiwei is back. Sister Shiwei. Many people gathered around and saw Shangguan Shiwei. Shangguan Shiwei smiled and walked to Su-yi. Looking at Su-yi, she smiled and said, "One who survives a great disaster is bound for good fortune. Thank you for saving everyone." "I didn't see everyone, so I came back by myself." Su-yi smiled and looked at the young girl in front of him. It seemed that in just a few days, her expression had become much more haggard and she had lost a lot of weight. "It's good that you're fine." Shangguan Shiwei smiled. "Yi-Su, you're really not dead." A hearty voice came. Shangguan Qingming walked forward and saw that Su-yi was really back. His face was filled with joy. "I'm lucky that I'm still alive. I've made everyone worried." Su-yi was touched. Everyone went to the Demon Azura Mountain to look for him, and they just came back now. "It's a miracle. Tell me what happened." Shangguan Qingming patted Su-yi's shoulder. It was definitely a miracle to be able to escape from the iron-armored demonic rhino's stomach. Su-yi roughly explained. In general, the iron-armored demonic rhino's oil lamp had dried up, and it couldn't support it anymore. That was why he was able to escape from death. One who survives a great disaster is bound for good fortune. Shangguan Qingming and the other experts in the village felt that it was unbelievable, but at the same time, they felt lucky. When Shangguan Qingming and the others learned that Su-yi had killed the rock-splitting demonic tiger of the tribe of tiger hunters and the ground-shield barbaric bear of the wild bear tribe, they were even more shocked. Later, Su-yi found out from Shangguan Qingming that everyone had been delayed in the Demon Azura Mountain until now because they had encountered a barbaric demonic beast expert. The experts of the Spirit Ancient Village had a huge battle with the barbaric demonic beast before they were able to escape. In the square, everyone left late at night. Su Tianke carried a big jar of 100 fruit wine and barbecued meat, and no one knew where he had gone. Most be #FastDollarUpV, Cool Dollar Craftsman Aginet 0 Su-yi and Shangguan Shiwei went back to the courtyard. "Thank you. See you tomorrow." On the way, the two were silent. When they reached the courtyard, Shangguan Shiwei opened her mouth. "You're welcome." Sui nodded and went back to his room. The bear paw and rock-splitting demonic tiger's meat were quite effective. There was energy spreading in Su Yi's body. Especially the barbaric demonic beast meat that was about to reach the demonic illusory realm, the effect was even better. There was also the 100-fruit wine. Su Yi drank a lot again. Su Yi closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. He sat cross-legged and wanted to refine the benefit. Not long after, Su Yi's body was enveloped in a layer of faint light. There was a scarlet color in the light and the aura was majestic. Chapter 240. A woo. In the depths of the forest, the low growls of beasts could be heard from time to time. At the foot of the demon Azura mountain, 30 youths were naked under the moonlight, as if they were enveloped in a layer of silver light. 30 youths were completely naked. Most importantly, these 30 or so youths were standing in a row around a towering tree, tightly bound by the vines. The 30 youths wanted to cry but had no tears. Their hair was disheveled, and it was a tragic sight. Not far away, a dozen young girls were also tightly bound to a huge rock by tree vines. However, these 10 young girls were in a better state. Although their hair was also disheveled, their clothes were neat. Looking at the 30 naked youths who were tied up, the 10 young girls didn't even dare to raise their heads. Some of the young girls accidentally saw the naked youths in front of them, and their faces immediately turned red. Not far away, there were a few savage beast mounts, and they were even more miserable. The scales of the savage beasts with armor were all stripped off, and they were dripping with blood. It was a tragic sight. The flying barbaric demonic beasts with feathers had all been stripped of their feathers, making them look like giant featherless birds. These savage beast mounts were all lying on the ground with their flesh torn open, and their eyes were filled with despair and shock. To these savage beasts they felt aggrieved, innocent, and terrified. That human was too cruel, and it left a shadow in their hearts. The 30 youths wanted to cry but had no tears. They were angry and ashamed, but there was nothing they could do. They were so severely injured that they didn't even have the strength to struggle. Everything on them had been taken by Isu. They had been tied up for almost 2 days, and they had no strength to struggle. Their injuries were very serious. Fortunately, they were at the foot of the demon Azura mountain. Otherwise, this group of youths would have become food for the savage beasts on the demon Azura mountain. All of this was naturally done by Su Yi. He couldn't do anything to these kids, but he didn't want to let them go so easily. In the end, Su Yi could only strip these guys naked and tie them up here as a form of punishment and also to vent his anger. In order to prevent these fellows from being devoured by the demon beasts in the demon Azura mountain, Su Yi had specially ordered the wind-hunting demon eagle to throw these brats down the demon Azura mountain. Kaka. Xiong Lai recovered some of his essence chi and clenched his teeth as he used all his strength to break the vines. The group of people also fell limply to the ground. Their bodies were dispirited and powerless as they struggled to get up. Each of them looked for leaves and vines to cover their bodies. "Isu, I won't let you off." Some of the youths began to cry. Who would have thought that Isu would actually be so cruel as to strip them naked and tie them together? With so many girls present, how were they going to face others in the future? The darkness before dawn had just passed, and the sound of the stars in the sky slowly disappeared into the sky. In the room, Su Yi's aura fluctuated, emitting bursts of fluorescent light. His aura was blazing hot, and his majestic aura was exceptionally dense. Under the faint crimson light, Su Yi's eyes were tightly shut. His exposed skin was sparkling and translucent, like warm jade, without any dirt. The aura fluctuated, long and thick. At this moment, Su Yi's aura was becoming more and more abundant. His body had a crystalline luster, as if he was transforming towards a more perfect state. This was the benefit that Su-Yi had obtained from the 100 fruit wine and so much demon beast meat. At this moment, Su-Yi's body still contained the remnant energy of the demon core. Along with the Origin Supreme technique, it was slowly being refined. When dawn arrived, Su-Yi's aura began to recede, and the light dissipated. After exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Su-Yi opened his eyes. His eyes were dazzling, and a crimson light flashed before returning to clarity. Feeling everything in his body, Su-Yi was quite satisfied. Previously, Su-Yi broke through too quickly, so he had been compressing and consolidating his cultivation. At this moment, Su-Yi's aura finally stopped at the 6th level of the Origin Profound Realm. Su, we should depart. Shangguan Shiwei's voice sounded. Su-Yi walked out of the room and saw Shangguan Shiwei. Shangguan Shiwei had changed into a tight-fitting outfit today, which outlined her graceful figure. Su-Yi couldn't help but take a few more glances. Prepare to depart. Everyone has already gathered at the village entrance. Shangguan Shiwei said to Su-Yi. A moment later, at the village entrance, Su-Yi saw Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and the others who were preparing to depart. It was a majestic group of people. There were so many of them that almost half of the people in the village were there. The leader was Shangguan Qingming, and there were a few elders that Su-Yi had seen before. Roar! The beast's roar was as loud as thunder. A barbaric nether heavenly panther that was 3 feet long and almost 2 feet tall saw Su-Yi and immediately roared. Its entire body was covered with thick, blade-like dark scales. On its head that was similar to a lion's head, there was a glittering golden mark. Barbaric nether heavenly panther. Su-Yi raised his eyes and saw a colossal creature in front of him. Its aura was terrifying, and its sharp fangs were glowing. It looked at Su-Yi with reverence. It should be reaching the 6th level of the Demon Profound Realm soon. PQ's new fastest W up / sensing the aura of the barbaric nether heavenly panther, Su-Yi was inwardly shocked. A few days ago, the barbaric nether heavenly panther was still severely injured. But now, not only had it fully recovered, it should be reaching the 6th level of the Demon Profound Realm. It should be at the peak of the 5th level of the Demon Profound Realm. Brother Su, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and many others came forward and warmly greeted Su-Yi. Brother Chunfeng is here. The crowd was in an uproar, causing a commotion. Screech, a screech pierced through the sky, shaking everyone's eardrums. A huge eagle flapped its wings and flew over. Its eyes were sharp, its beak was like a hook, and its feathers were like scales. Its entire body was as white as jade, and it was emitting a chilling aura. This was the cold jade demonic eagle. It immediately hovered at the village entrance. On the back of the cold jade demonic eagle, Shangguan Chunfeng was wearing a white robe. His figure was tall and handsome, and he looked like he was in his late teens. But his aura was like a sharp sword. Once it was unsheathed, it would be sharp. Standing on the back of the cold jade demonic eagle, he gave off an aura that couldn't be ignored. Brother Chunfeng. Many young men and women greeted him. Shangguan Chunfeng was the number 1 in the younger generation of the Spirit Ancient Village. He had an unparalleled charisma among the younger generation, and he was also the representative of the Spirit Ancient Village. Roar. Sensing the cold jade demonic eagle hovering at a low altitude, the barbaric nether heavenly panther raised its head and let out a deep roar. It seemed to be unhappy with the cold jade demonic eagle. Being stared at by the barbaric nether heavenly panther, the cold jade demonic eagle was instinctively afraid. Its body trembled at a low altitude, and it didn't dare to get too close. Chapter 241. Alright, let's go. Seeing that Shangguan Chunfeng had arrived, an elder spoke with a smile on his face. However, there was a hint of nervousness and anticipation in his eyes. Screech, the cold jade demonic eagle let out a screech and flapped its wings. It was the first to soar into the clouds and fly out of the village. In the spirit ancient village, there were also many powerful savage beasts that appeared as mounts. Some experts and elders leaped onto their mounts, but most of them had to walk. Su-yi did not ride on the barbaric shadow heavenly leopard. Instead, he walked with Shangguan Yi and the rest. However, Su Tianke did not stand on ceremony. He flapped his short wings and had a funny expression on his face. In the end, he climbed onto the back of the barbaric shadow heavenly leopard and leaned against it leisurely. "Let's go," the group of people set off towards the location of the competition. From Shangguan Rock and the rest, Su-yi found out that the competition that occurred once every 10 years would be held at a large square in the middle of the spirit ancient village, the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters. After more than 2 hours, the majestic group of people had almost reached their destination. In front of them, there were also 2 groups of people that appeared. There were flying savage beasts flying at low altitude. On the ground, there were savage beasts galloping. Their auras were shocking. There were some powerful people riding on them. They were all experts. There were giant bears roaring and tigers growling. The wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters are here too. Shangguan Rock looked at the 2 large groups in front of them. They were the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. Coal blacksmith VJ Netsu-yi's gaze swept across the 2 groups. The number of people did not seem to be below that of the spirit ancient village. He could feel the powerful auras from afar. There were also many experts from the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. Then, Su-yi's gaze landed on a large square not far away. The square was huge. In front of the square, there was a towering mountain that reached into the clouds. The peak of the mountain was shrouded in mist. The 3 groups arrived at the square almost at the same time. Immediately, the square was bustling with people, and it began to become lively and clamorous. This time, the spirit ancient village was in charge of the venue. The people of the spirit ancient village had already arranged everything. In front of the square, there was a high platform with many large chairs with backs placed on it. Many fresh fruits and wine were placed on top of it, and the fragrance of meat assailed the nostrils. "It's a frost jade demonic eagle." Among the people from the tribe of tiger hunters, there was a ferocious tiger covered in scales. There was a middle-aged man and 2 little girls who looked to be 6 or 7 years old. Their eyes were clear, beautiful, and cute. Their big eyes were curiously looking at the cold jade demonic eagle that Shangguan Chunfeng was riding. Barbaric nether heavenly leopard. The spirit ancient village is quite lucky. In the wild bear tribe, a middle-aged man jumped down from the shoulder of a giant bear. He was sizing up the barbaric ethereal heavenly leopard in front of the people from spirit ancient village. Roar, a beast's roar was like thunder. In the wild bear tribe, there was a big bear that was almost 2 zhang tall. Its fur was scarlet red, and its aura was ferocious. On its shoulder stood a young man who was as sturdy as a bear. The young man had the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear. The muscles on his body bulged, and he wore an armor that revealed his shoulders. On his chest, there was a golden breastplate that emitted mysterious runes that flickered with light. He was like a young war god from ancient legends. It was Xiongzhan and the fierce scarlet wild bear that he had subdued. In the tribe of tiger hunters, Hu Qi was also at the front, attracting everyone's attention. Hu Qi was still dressed in battle clothes. On his angular face, he had an indescribably fierce and dignified temperament. He was riding a black big tiger that was about 3 zhang tall. It was glaring at him covetously, and its entire body was suffused with a black light. It was the dark abyss demonic tiger. Su-yi's gaze landed on the towering mountain peak in front of the square. Looking at the mountain peak up close, it was even more magnificent and majestic. What a strange aura! Although it was far away, Su-yi felt an extremely special aura from the towering mountain peak. That feeling was very strange, but it disappeared in a flash. Then, it returned to normal and there was nothing strange. Brother Su, let's go over there. Shangguan Rock's voice passed into Su Yi's ears. Su Yi came back to his senses, nodded slightly, and followed behind Shangguan Rock. But under the perception of his soul power, Su Yi could easily feel that there were many experts from the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. Hu Qi, Xiong Lai. Su Yi saw Hu Qi and Xiong Zhan, the number one of the younger generation of the hunting tiger tribe and the number one of the younger generation of the barbarian bear tribe, but it wasn't the first time they met. From afar, Su Yi felt that the aura of Hu Qi and Xiong Lai was different from last time. Judging from their complexions, Hu Qi and Xiong Zhan were both in peak condition. It seemed that the two of them had been preparing for the past few days. It seems that they are different, Su Yi muttered to himself. Hu Qi's dark demon tiger and Xiong Zhan's fierce red wild bear also seemed to be different from last time. But Su Yi was not too surprised. In just a few days, the barbaric spectral heavenly leopard seemed to have improved a lot with the help of the spirit ancient village's resources. It must be the same for the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. In the past few days, they had put in a lot of effort on the dark demon tiger and the fierce red wild bear. On the chairs, there were already some elders and experts from the tribe of tiger hunters, the wild bear tribe, and the spirit ancient village sitting upright. For example, Elder Hu Ben and Elder Xiong San. Su Yi had already met them before. Some of the people with higher statuses stood behind these powerful elders. For example, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Shiwei, Su Yi, and the others. Even Hu Qi, Xiong Zhan, Shangguan Chunfeng, and the others dismounted from their barbaric beast mounts and stood behind the experts behind them. The meat of this barbaric beast doesn't seem to be simple. It's tiger meat, right? There's also bear paws. It seems that the juniors of the spirit ancient village have gained a lot from the demon Azura mountain. The experts and elders sat down and saw the fresh fruits, wine, and barbecued meat in front of them. They had sharp eyes and recognized that the meat of the barbaric beasts was not simple. It did not seem to be ordinary barbaric beast. Shangguan Qingming, the juniors of the spirit ancient village can't be fake, right? Did you really bring them back from the demon Azura mountain? Xiong San curled his lips and asked Shangguan Qingming. He did not believe that these were brought back from the demon Azura mountain by the juniors of the spirit ancient village. The juniors of the spirit ancient village can't be fake. Shangguan Qingming snorted coldly. However, he was sneering in his heart. These bear paws belong to the wild bear tribe. Shiwei, if I win today, how about marrying me? At this moment, Xiong Zhan's gaze fell on Shangguan Shiwei. His goal was simple and direct. He did not hide the desire in his eyes. His voice was also very loud. Haha, Shiwei, this girl is not bad. Why don't you marry into the wild bear tribe? Chapter 242. Haha, if you marry Shangguan Shiwei, you will be a member of our wild bear tribe. Many youths from the wild bear tribe started to jeer. However, no one from the spirit ancient village was happy about it. Shangguan Shiwei's face turned red as she stared at Xiong Zhan. She was so angry that she wanted to stomp her feet, but she didn't know what to say. You can't win. Shangguan Chunfeng stared at Xiong Zhan as his eyes turned sharp. Shangguan Chunfeng, I will defeat you later. Xiong Zhan smiled faintly as he pointed at Shangguan Chunfeng. His muscles bulged as he looked fierce and overbearing. You're not enough. Shangguan Chunfeng replied as his hair fluttered in the wind. Haha, it's good for youths to have a temper. In another 20 years, all of this will be yours. But today, let's see who is better. An old man from the wild bear tribe stood up and scanned the square. He looked at the sun in the sky and said, It's about time. The wild bear tribe, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the spirit ancient village will compete with each other every 10 years. I believe everyone is clear about the rules, so I won't waste time to say it again. The Spirit Ancient Village has won the first round, let the second round begin. His voice was faint and was mixed with yuan qi. It was loud enough to reach the ears of no less than 2,000 to 3,000 people. As the voice of the old man from the barbarian bear tribe spread out, the noisy square immediately became silent. Even the barbarian demonic beasts in the surroundings fell silent. Boom! When the old man finished speaking, the square was in an uproar again as the sound waves soared into the sky. Roar! Roar! At the same time, the fierce scarlet wild bear and the dark nether demonic tiger roared as they walked out. Their auras were terrifying. Let the barbaric nether heavenly leopard go. They will fight in a chaotic battle. Whoever remains will be the final winner. Shangguan Shiwei whispered into Su Yi's ear. With Su Yi around, the barbaric nethervoid heavenly leopard would only listen to Su Yi. Be careful of the fierce red wild bear and the dark nether demonic tiger teaming up against you. Take care of the dark nether demonic tiger first. Su Yi walked to the side of the barbaric spectral heavenly leopard and whispered into its ear. Roar! The barbaric spectral heavenly leopard roared. Its black scales flickered with an incomparably profound light as it slowly walked towards the square. Among the fierce scarlet wild bear and the onyx demon tiger, the barbaric nether heavenly leopard was the smallest. However, the invisible aura on its body revealed a kind of kingly aura, causing the other beasts to be fearful for no reason. The 3 barbaric beasts walked up to the square and stood in 3 different positions facing each other. It was as if they were standing in a tripartite confrontation. In the second round, the 3 barbarian beasts would fight against each other. The one who could survive in the end would be the winner. Both of them are extraordinary. If they grow up, they will become kings among beasts. Seeing the 3 barbaric beasts, the experts discussed among themselves. Regardless of whether it was the dark nether demonic tiger, the fierce scarlet wild bear, or the barbaric nether heavenly leopard, if they could grow up, they would become kings among the barbaric beasts. Su Yi looked at the 3 barbaric beasts in the square. All of them were extraordinary. However, it was hard to say which one of the barbaric beasts would emerge victorious in this chaotic battle. The old man from the wild bear tribe smiled when he saw the 3 barbaric beasts walk up to the square. He looked around and said slowly, but his voice was as long as thunder. He slowly raised his hand and said, "The second round begins now." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and slammed it down forcefully. Roar! At the same time, the fierce scarlet wild bear suddenly stood up and roared like thunder. It seemed to be showing off to the dark nether demonic tiger and the barbaric nether heavenly leopard. Roar! Roar! How could the barbaric nether heavenly leopard and the dark nether demonic tiger back down? They roared in unison. The tiger's roar was like thunder, and the leopard's roar was earth-shattering. The sound waves were deafening and made one's blood boil for no reason. Roar! As the barbaric nether heavenly leopard roared, a deep black color surged out from its body and charged towards the dark nether demonic tiger. In the past few days, the barbaric nether heavenly leopard's strength had improved significantly. Its vigorous body leaped forward, and its aura was terrifying. The deep black light on its body was like a fog lingering around it. Roar! The fierce scarlet wild bear roared and shook the void. Almost at the same time, it charged towards the dark nether demonic tiger as if it was prepared. The dark nether demonic tiger didn't intend to make any move. However, when it saw the barbaric nether heavenly leopard charging towards it, it glared at it and its aura instantly became fierce. However, when it saw the fierce scarlet wild bear charging towards it, the dark nether demonic tiger's ferocious eyes changed. As for the experts from the tribe of tiger hunters, their expressions changed drastically. The tribe of tiger hunters had originally planned to let the dark nether demonic tiger watch from the sidelines. Then, when the barbaric nether heavenly leopard and the fierce scarlet wild bear were both injured, it would be the best opportunity for them to win. However, now, the fierce scarlet wild bear and the barbaric nether heavenly leopard seemed to have a plan as they charged towards the dark nether demonic tiger. This caused the powerhouses of the hunting tiger tribe to have serious expressions on their faces. Sui also looked at the field and his expression changed slightly. The barbaric nether heavenly leopard had won the first round. If it won the next round, the Spirit Ancient Village would be the winner of the grand competition held once every 10 years between the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe. Therefore, Sui had to be cautious. He was afraid that the dark nether demonic tiger and the fierce scarlet wild bear would team up to finish off the barbaric nether heavenly leopard first. Without a doubt, the barbaric nether heavenly leopard was the easiest target under such circumstances. However, the barbaric spectral heavenly leopard was already about to attack the dark nether tiger. The fierce scarlet wild bear's target was undoubtedly the dark nether tiger. Sui couldn't help but feel a little surprised. After dealing with the onyx devil tiger, only the barbaric nether heavenly leopard was left. This was probably not a good thing for the scarlet wild bear. Sui was confused as to why the fierce red wild bear would charge towards the dark demon tiger together. Roar! With a deafening roar, the barbaric spectral heavenly leopard leaped out at lightning speed and pounced on the onyx demon tiger. The barbaric heavenly leopard launched a fierce attack. The aura on its body spread out in all directions. Its 4 claws were like hooks and were extremely sharp. The dark nether demon tiger roared angrily. Black light surged all over its body, and it almost stood up straight. It waved its claws to meet the attack, and opened its bloody mouth to reveal its sharp teeth. Its mouth seemed to be about to spurt out light, and its power was astonishing. #CoolNCraftsman forever free. Read iNovels. Both of them have reached the peak LV5 Demon Profound Realm. The surrounding onlookers were shocked. The barbaric nether heavenly leopard and the dark nether demon tiger had both reached the peak LV5 Demon Profound Realm. Their attacks were extremely sharp, and both of them emitted the aura of the barbaric beast kings. Whoosh! In an instant, the two of them collided and separated upon contact. A terrifying shockwave swept out, sending sand and pebbles flying. Boom! Chapter 243. The fierce red wild bear also attacked. Its target was the dark nether tiger. The dark nether tiger had a serious expression, but it had no choice but to face it head-on. As the tiger pounced on its prey, a black light spread out from its body. Even its claws were emitting a black mist. Cracks appeared on the ground where its feet stepped on. Roar! After the barbaric heavenly leopard's attack, its body turned around vigorously. Its body was covered in a dark light. With a leap, it jumped more than 10 feet into the air, and its sharp claws slashed at the dark nether tiger again. Rumble! The 3 barbaric beasts engaged in a fierce battle the moment they entered the arena. Clang! 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 Pff! The dark nether tiger and the fierce red wild bear took a hit head-on. Its huge body was immediately pushed back. Tiger blood spurted out from its bloody mouth. The barbaric heavenly leopard's speed was already shocking. At this moment, its attack was extremely fierce. Its sharp claws landed on the back of the dark nether tiger. Swish! The barbaric heavenly leopard tore a few deep wounds on the dark nether tiger's back. Blood flowed out like a fountain. Roar! The tiger roared in pain and anger. A deep black light engulfed it. It staggered back and spat out blood from its bloody mouth. Oh! However, the fierce red wild bear did not stop. Its aura was powerful, fierce, and violent. Its bare paw slammed down. Light exploded, bringing with it the sound of wind and thunder. Waves of air surged. The dark nether tiger roared in anger. It fought fiercely because it was unable to dodge. Swish, however, the result was that the dark nether tiger's huge body was directly sent flying. Blood continued to spurt out as it heavily smashed into the ground of the plaza. The dark nether tiger was heavily injured. Its injuries were serious, and it was on the verge of death. The tribe of tiger hunters has lost this round. This result caused the expression of an elder in the tribe of tiger hunters to change drastically. The dark nether tiger was already heavily injured. It did not have the strength to fight anymore. They could not lose another dark nether tiger. This dark nether tiger would be the king of the barbaric beasts in the future. Wild Bear Tribe, Spirit Ancient Village, are you secretly working together? Elder Hu Ben had an ugly expression on his face. This was different from the Hunting Tiger Tribe's plan. The Dark Abyss Demonic Tiger was surrounded by the fierce Crimson Wild Bear and the barbaric Spectral Heavenly Panther as soon as the battle began. Thus, Elder Hu Ben couldn't help but suspect that the tribe of tiger hunters and the Spirit Ancient Village were planning something, and were secretly joining hands. Who's working together? The Dark Hell Demon Tiger is just too weak. Elder Xiong San of the Wild Bear Tribe glared at Elder Hu Ben with a disdainful smile. He had already expected this result. This round, he had long known that the Crimson Wild Bear would win for sure. All right, now that we've taken care of one of them, our chances are much higher. Seeing that the Dark Demon Tiger had been defeated, the people of the Spirit Ancient Village were overjoyed. With only a fierce Scarlet Wild Bear left, the barbaric Void Heavenly Panther's chances were extremely high. There's only one left. Well done, barbaric Nether Void Panther. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and the rest of the youths were very excited as they clenched their fists. Shangguan Chunfeng was also watching the battle closely, his eyes as sharp as swords. However, at this moment, Su Yi wasn't too happy. He felt that something wasn't right, and his eyes were fixed on the fierce Scarlet Wild Bear. Roar! The fierce Scarlet Wild Bear roared as it stared at the barbaric Void Heavenly Panther. Its aura was violent and its size was huge. It was enough to send chills down the spines of many of the spectators. Roar! The barbaric Void Heavenly Panther was fearless. It emitted the aura of a king and refused to be outdone. It pounced towards the fierce Scarlet Wild Bear. A faint black light shone from it, and its claws were razor-sharp. Wherever it passed, the ground would crack. Boom! The raging red wild bear raised its head. Suddenly, a powerful chi rose, shaking the air all around. The sound of wind and thunder could be faintly heard. The bear's paw collided with the claws of the barbaric Nether Heavenly Leopard. Bang! A dull sound like thunder rumbled in the square, and light burst out. Walala! A strong wind swept out like a storm, and the square began to tremble violently. Under the shocked gazes of the spectators, the barbaric Void Heavenly Panther was sent flying. Blood spurted out from its mouth, and it landed heavily on the square. The barbaric Void Heavenly Panther's physical body was strong. However, at this moment, its claws were bleeding, and its mouth was bleeding. The light on its body dimmed, and it was covered in wounds. How could this be? The spectators from the Spirit Ancient Village, who were overjoyed a moment ago, were shocked. The barbaric Void Heavenly Panther was severely injured in one move. The spectators from the Wild Bear Tribe were surprised as well. Clearly, they didn't expect the fierce Scarlet Wild Bear to be so strong. Only the experts and elders from the Wild Bear Tribe weren't surprised. Instead, they were smiling confidently. Only they knew what had happened. Coincidentally, there was a treasure in the Barbarian Bear Tribe. It was the blood essence of a demon Emperor Realm Scarlet Maniac. In order to win the second round, the Wild Bear Tribe couldn't afford to lose again. Therefore, they gave the blood essence of a demon Royal Realm Fierce Scarlet Wild Bear to the Fierce Scarlet Wild Bear. In just 7 days, the Fierce Scarlet Wild Bear, who was originally at LV5 Demon Profound Realm, had reached LV7 Demon Profound Realm, and it could continue to break through. Most importantly, after obtaining the blood essence of a demon royal realm fierce scarlet wild bear, the fierce scarlet wild bear cub would become even stronger and have a bright future. LV7 Demon Profound Realm. Su Yi's eyes flickered as he sensed the true aura of the raging red wild bear. It was at LV7 Demon Profound Realm. The raging red wild bear must have obtained more benefits than the barbarian heavenly leopard in the barbarian bear tribe. That was why it was able to break through 2 levels in just a few days. Roar! The fierce scarlet wild bear roared. As the barbaric void heavenly panther fell to the ground, it pounced on the barbaric void heavenly panther again. Retreat! Su Yi shouted at the barbaric void heavenly panther. The barbaric heavenly leopard's bloodline was only slightly better. Even though it was at the peak of the 5th demon profound realm, it had not reached the 6th demon profound realm. It was impossible for it to be a match for a 7th demon profound realm fierce red wild bear. At this moment, Su Yi finally understood why the fierce scarlet wild bear did not want to fight the barbaric void heavenly panther at all. Instead, it wanted to fight the dark devil tiger with the barbaric void heavenly panther. It was well prepared and it knew that it could crush everything. Stop! The wild bear tribe has won this round. Shangguan Qingming shouted. He had also sensed the aura of the fierce scarlet wild bear and knew that the barbaric void heavenly panther was no match for it. Stop! An elder from the wild bear tribe shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, the fierce scarlet wild bear stopped. Its aura surged as it looked at the barbaric void heavenly panther. Although it was unwilling to admit defeat, it did not continue to attack. The barbaric void heavenly panther stood up. Its body was covered in blood and its eyes shone with a fierce light. It was unwilling to admit defeat and roared angrily. Stand down. Su Yi asked the barbaric void heavenly panther to stand down. He needed to treat its injuries as soon as possible. We won. We won. Ha ha, good job. The wild bear tribe was excited and excited. The onlookers of the hunting tiger tribe had mixed feelings. The dark hell demonic tiger had been defeated and lost the chance for the second round. The situation was not optimistic at all. However, there were people from the tribe of tiger hunters who were both happy and worried. They were worried that the tribe of tiger hunters had lost the second round and the situation was dire. Chapter 244. How did that scarlet wild bear's strength increase so much? The wild bear tribe must have invested a lot of treasures into that scarlet wild bear. That's why the scarlet wild bear's strength increased so much in such a short period of time. Many people in the spirit ancient village were discussing among themselves. If the barbarian heavenly leopard had won, the spirit ancient village would have won. However, such an accident had happened. Seems like the barbarian heavenly leopard is not that strong. Xiong-san laughed. The wild bear tribe once had a monster emperor scarlet wild bear that died of old age. Maybe it has something to do with it. An old man in the spirit ancient village whispered as he guessed the truth. This matter had happened a long time ago, and only a few old men still remembered it. Qinfeng, you must win the third round. Otherwise, our spirit ancient village will not be able to recover from this setback. The impact will be huge. An expert in the village said to Shangguan Qinfeng. The spirit ancient village had not won for dozens of years. If they lost this chance, it would have a huge impact on the spirit ancient village. The spirit ancient village had won several rounds in the first round, so they still had a big chance. They could not miss it. I will. Shangguan Qinfeng nodded. His eyes were like swords, filled with sharpness. In the tribe of tiger hunters, a group of old men and experts looked solemn. The situation was not good for the tribe of tiger hunters. Whether it was the spirit ancient village or the wild bear tribe, as long as they won the third round, they would win. Hu Qi, it's up to you now. You must hold on. An old man in the tribe of tiger hunters said. The tribe of tiger hunters only had one last chance. If the tribe of tiger hunters won the third round, the tribe of tiger hunters, the wild bear tribe, and the spirit ancient village would each win one round. In a tie, the tribe of tiger hunters would still have a chance. I will defeat them. Hu Chi's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. In the wild bear tribe, an expert lowered his head and said something to Xiongzhan. They will all be defeated by me. They will not be my opponents. Xiongzhan's gaze swept across the tribe of tiger hunters Hu Chi and spirit ancient villages Shangguan Chunfeng, his eyes brimming with confidence. All right, the third round will begin now. Everyone ought to be clearly aware of the rules, but I'll specially emphasize it once more. During the battle, you're not allowed to intentionally use heavy blows or kill move. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified and severely punished. The old man from the wild bear tribe stood up with a smile on his face. He opened his mouth again, and his voice resounded throughout the square. Now, may the tribe of tiger hunters send out their defenders. Hu Chi, you must hold on. As soon as the old man from the wild bear tribe finished speaking, an old man from the tribe of tiger hunters instructed Hu Chi. Hu Chi didn't say anything else and walked straight to the center of the square. His battle robe fluttered slightly, and the outline of his face was as sharp as a knife. Many young girls around him were secretly moved. 10 years ago, the tribe of tiger hunters won. According to the rules, in the third round, the tribe of tiger hunters will send out their defenders to accept the challenges of the wild bear tribe and the spirit ancient village. The order will be chosen by the tribe of tiger hunters themselves. Shangguan Shiwei whispered in Su Yi's ear, informing Su Yi of the rules of the third round. Su Yi nodded. He didn't know the rules of the third round, but he knew that the tribe of tiger hunters was actually the winner 10 years ago. With this rule, does it mean that the tribe of tiger hunters is at a disadvantage? Su Yi asked Shangguan Shiwei softly. He felt that the tribe of tiger hunters seemed to be at a disadvantage. Without a doubt, the tribe of tiger hunters had to face 2 challengers one after the other. With the consumption and injuries, they were at a disadvantage. This is the rule. Not to mention, the tribe of tiger hunters won last time. For 10 years they can enter and obtain benefits. The younger generation has been tempered, so they won't be at a disadvantage. Shangguan Shiwei replied. Speaking of which, the tribe of tiger hunters won't be at a disadvantage. In the square, when Hu Chi walked onto the square, the noisy square gradually quieted down. Everyone's gazes immediately landed on the figure with a chiseled face. No one would look down on Hu Chi, including the experts of the wild bear tribe and the spirit ancient village. Although Hu Chi was still young, he was the #1 expert among the younger generation of the tribe of tiger hunters. This was enough to explain everything. Greetings, elders. Hu Chi will be the defender of the tribe of tiger hunters this time. Hu Chi looked around and then bowed to the elders and experts of the spirit ancient village and the wild bear tribe. His attitude was neither servile nor overbearing, and his temperament was outstanding. Extraordinary! Looking at Hu Chi, the experts of the wild bear tribe and the spirit ancient village couldn't help but praise him. They had to admit that Hu Chi was extraordinary. The challengers of the spirit ancient village and the wild bear tribe, please come on. The elder of the wild bear tribe continued. Brother Chunfeng, you can do it. Look. This is the W version G Chapter 0. Brother Chunfeng, you must win. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, and Shangguan Xiu clenched their fists and cheered for Shangguan Chunfeng. Go. The elder of the spirit ancient village was secretly nervous. This time, whether the spirit ancient village could win or not depended on Shangguan Chunfeng alone. Shangguan Chunfeng didn't say anything. Under his white robe, his figure was tall and straight as he slowly walked out. His hair swayed slightly, and his temperament was elegant. He was like a sword that had been sheathed. Once unsheathed, it would be extremely sharp. From the wild bear tribe, a figure that was as muscular as a bear walked out. He had a strong back and a bare waist. His whole body was bulging with muscles, and his temperament was fierce and brave. This figure was Xiongzhan. He wore shoulder armor, and on his chest was a golden breastplate that emitted mysterious runes. It shone brightly, making him look like the legendary ancient war god. When these three outstanding figures walked onto the square, everyone's eyes trembled. Brother Hu Qi is the strongest. Brother Xiongzhan, defeat them. Brother Chunfeng, you can do it. In the square, shouts and cheers gathered and soared into the sky, resounding in all directions. The battle between the strongest of the younger generation was deafening, and it made people's blood boil. Then, in the middle of the square, Hu Qi's eyes were dazzling as he looked at Shangguan Chunfeng and Xiong Lai. Finally, his gaze landed on Shangguan Chunfeng. He pointed at Shangguan Chunfeng and said, "Shangguan Chunfeng, you go first." When he finished speaking, Shangguan Chunfeng raised his eyes and looked at Hu Qi. A bright light flashed in his eyes, and at this moment, his aura was like an unsheathed sword. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and it shook the square. Hu Qi chose Shangguan Chunfeng first because he thought that Xiongzhan was more difficult to deal with than Shangguan Chunfeng. In this kind of battle, everyone would choose the weaker one first. Seeing that Hu Qi had chosen Shangguan Chunfeng, Xiongzhan smiled faintly and stood to the side. "I respect your choice, but you will regret it in a moment." Shangguan Chunfeng stared at Hu Qi. His voice was exceptionally sharp, as if it was filled with a kind of sharpness. Chapter 245. When Hu Qi's words fell, the atmosphere in the square froze for no reason. The tit-for-tat confrontation had reached its peak. "You'll know soon enough." Shangguan Chunfeng opened his mouth. Instead of being angry, he was happy. There was even a slight smile on his face. However, everyone could feel that the fierce aura on Shangguan Chunfeng's body was getting stronger and stronger. As the two of them confronted each other, the spectators in the square were extremely quiet. Facing the two young people in the square, even some of the arrogant young people from the Spirit Ancient Village, Wild Bear Tribe, and Tribe of Tiger Hunters had to maintain some respect. Strength reigned supreme. Even in this utopia-like place, it was the same. The two people in the square looked at each other. Their gazes intertwined and were filled with light. They did not speak, but the atmosphere was even more tense. Sui looked at the two people in the square. Judging from their auras, it was difficult to determine who had the upper hand. Whether it was Hu Qi or Shangguan Chunfeng, they were both well-known figures among the younger generation. If they were outside, they would probably be as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. "You can start now. Remember, don't purposely use too much force," the old man from the Wild Bear Tribe said faintly. "Let's start. Strength speaks for itself." At the same time the old man from Barbarian Bear Tribe finished speaking, Hu Qi stomped his foot forward. When his foot landed, a muffled explosion rang out from under his foot. Boom! Go to the place where Hu Qi's foot landed. Under everyone's gazes, sand and stones flew around. There were small cracks on the ground in the square that extended out. An invisible gust of wind spread out and pervaded towards Shangguan Chunfeng's feet. Shangguan Chunfeng immediately looked up and his eyes darkened. A vigorous origin qi suddenly burst out from his body. The origin qi was exposed and formed a origin qi light shield. Similarly, he stomped his foot and origin qi gushed out and collided with the origin qi. Boom! The two origin qi collided and instantly surged out. At this moment, a ferocious aura erupted from Tiger Qi's body. A crimson-red Yuan Qi light shield burst out from his body and enveloped him. At the same time, a mighty aura erupted from his body. Very strong, as expected of the number one of the younger generation. Many of the experts present, including some of the elders and experts from the Barbarian Bear Tribe, expressed their admiration for the two young men. After the two of them probed each other, the field once again fell into a strange silence. However, this silence lasted for a while before it finally exploded. As the light in Shangguan Chenfeng's and Huqi's eyes brightened at the same time, the tense atmosphere completely exploded. The two figures were like light and shadow as they shot out explosively. His speed was too fast. Unless one was at the origin spirit realm, it would be difficult for one to see him clearly. In an instant, the two figures, which were like arrows that had left the bowstring, violently collided with each other in the square. A huge impact force directly swept out. Bang bang bang, their speed was too fast. The two figures were inconceivably fast. Fists collided, palms overlapped, and it felt as if their fists were hitting flesh. Yuan Qi constantly collided, surging out in all directions. Rings of energy gales spread out in all directions. Bang! A low explosion sounded out as the two blurry figures crossed each other. They each took a few steps forward before stabilizing their bodies. The two figures stood back to back. Shangguan Chenfeng's hair was slightly messy as his white robe fluttered in the wind. Tiger Qi's figure came to a stop as the ground beneath his feet cracked. Ding! A treasured sword was unsheathed. A treasured sword appeared in Shangguan Chenfeng's hand. Under the infusion of Yuan Qi, it was instantly covered in light as a sharp aura swept out. This aura also contained a kind of icy aura, causing the surrounding temperature to suddenly drop a little. Su Yi looked at the treasured sword in Shangguan Chenfeng's hand. He felt that compared to the Yuan weapon blade on his back, it should be much stronger. 1. Wind and thunder clashed, shaking the air. Tiger Qi's hand tightly grasped a long rod. It was completely red and had mysterious runes flickering on it. They are no longer probing, they are going all out. On the field, an expert said. The whole field was silent. The people from the spirit ancient village and the tribe of tiger hunters held their breaths as they stared at the two young figures on the field. Continue. When the long rod and treasured sword were unsheathed, the Yuan Qi under the two's feet also swept out as they turned around and fiercely clashed again. Crackle, sword light swept out as the long rod was raised. Sparks flew as rings of energy spread out. Ancient scarlet fire rod, this is the king-grade martial skill of the tribe of tiger hunters. Tiger Qi is able to practice singing and use it to such an extent. He is indeed extraordinary. Shangguan Chenfeng is using the Ice Shadow Sword art of the Spirit Ancient Village, which is also a king-grade martial skill. It's a pity that Shangguan Chenfeng is at a disadvantage. Tiger Qi's main attribute is fire, which is more or less disadvantageous for him. The surrounding experts whispered to each other, but their words were full of praise for the two young men on the field. Clang clang, time after time, Tiger Qi's attacks were fast and fierce. The long rod in his hand brought about a strong wind that tore the air apart, causing pain in the ears of the spectators. Shangguan Chenfeng's sword light was like frost, the cold Qi was oppressive. The sword light shot out in all directions as if it was carrying frost. The sword and rod collided, the sound was intense and crisp, and sparks flew everywhere. The surrounding onlookers also stared intently at the scene. Su Yi had been watching carefully. Shangguan Chenfeng and Tiger Qi's martial skills were extraordinary and had an ancient aura. Brother Yi Su, can your brother Chenfeng win? Shangguan Rock was very nervous. Seeing that Su Yi was also carefully sizing up the battle, he asked in a low voice. Hearing this, Su Yi's eyes moved slightly and shook his head. It was really hard to judge. The two people on the field were not simple. Up until now they seemed to have used their full strength, but Su Yi felt that the two of them had not used their full strength yet. They were holding back. If that's all you have, then let's end this. Suddenly, there was a change in the field. The aura on Shangguan Chenfeng's body surged once again. Suddenly, the aura on his body rose to the peak. With his body as the center, It was as if the air was filled with frost. Sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Shangguan Chunfeng has actually reached the sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm. When such an aura swept out and no longer held back, the entire field was instantly filled with astonished voices. When Hu Qi saw Shangguan Chunfeng's unrestrained aura, a trace of light flashed in his eyes, as if he didn't care much about it. Sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Brother Chunfeng has reached the sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm. When they felt Shangguan Chunfeng's sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm aura, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Xiu, and the rest of the younger generation of the Spirit Ancient Village were extremely excited. Chapter 246. Shangguan Chunfeng was the first to be exposed, and he seemed to be a little impatient. Judging from Hu Qi's expression, he didn't seem to be moved. The outcome might not be good. Su Yi naturally hoped that the Spirit Ancient Village would emerge victorious in today's contest. First of all, he had feelings for the Spirit Ancient Village. Furthermore, if Shangguan Chunfeng lost, Su Yi knew that he wouldn't be able to obtain the promise that would benefit his soul force. Therefore, Su Yi was rather worried. Ice Shadow Strike. When Hu Qi no longer held back his aura, a white glow flashed across Shangguan Chunfeng's eyes. He gripped his sword tightly and raised it. In an instant, rays of sword light shot out. Swish, swish, the sword light gathered and turned into a blooming flower. It carried an icy aura and enveloped Hu Qi at the same time. Hu Qi's eyes darkened and revealed a cold smile. The long rod in his hand rushed out like a dragon. He smiled coldly at Shangguan Chunfeng and said in a faint voice, "Sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm. You've only just stepped foot into the Yuan Profound Realm. As for me, I've already been there 10 months ago." When Hu Qi finished speaking, the aura on his body suddenly erupted. Boom! The blazing aura exploded like a mini-storm. In an instant, Hu Qi's aura of the peak of the sixth level of the Yuan Profound Realm swept out without holding back. The sudden change attracted the attention of the surrounding crowd. Immediately, many eyes were filled with astonishment. Su Yi frowned. At this moment, Hu Qi's aura suddenly increased and became extremely tyrannical. Compared to before, it was more than twice as tyrannical. As expected, he was holding back and waiting to strike. Su Yi muttered with a grave expression. Hu Qi wasn't a reckless man. He had been waiting for an opportunity, waiting for Shangguan Chunfeng to lose his patience. "Break!" Hu Qi shouted. On the long rod in his hand, a blazing aura exploded. Traces of blazing energy accompanied by a flame-like radiance swam around his body and the long rod like tiny fire snake. Hu Qi's lips curved into a strong smile. The long rod carried a terrifying blazing wind and fiercely collided with Hu Qi, bang bang. The sudden change happened so quickly that some of the spectators who didn't have enough cultivation had yet to recover from their shock. Ding ding dang dang. The sound of metal clashing resounded as sparks flew in all directions. The long staff and the sword continued to collide. Shangguan Chunfeng's feet were pushed back, and the small cracks on the ground beneath his feet started to crack. Deng deng, after taking 13 steps, Shangguan Chunfeng's foot fiercely landed on the ground. The ground beneath his foot completely crumbled, and the sword in his hand dimmed. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Pucci, when the blood spurted out, Shangguan Chunfeng's body staggered back 3 steps before stabilizing his body. At this moment, the treasured sword in Shangguan Chunfeng's hand seemed to be powerless. Traces of blood flowed out from the web between his thumb and forefinger. When this scene appeared, the eyes of the experts and elders in the Spirit Ancient Village immediately trembled. The light in their eyes lost its luster, while their bodies, which were seated on the chairs, also became a little slack. This time, the Spirit Ancient Village was still defeated. Defeated, Su Yi's eyes flickered. Hu Qi's attack was so powerful that it shocked Su Yi. Su Yi had seen cultivators at the 8th or 9th level of the profound origin realm before, but when he felt the power of Hu Qi's attack, his heart couldn't help but tremble. Hu Qi's attack was comparable to an ordinary 7th level profound origin realm cultivator. In the arena, Hu Qi kept his long staff, and the aura on his body surged. He looked at Shangguan Chunfeng and said indifferently, "Shangguan Chunfeng, you've lost. Give me 3 more months, and you won't be able to break my icy shadow strike." Shangguan Chunfeng raised his eyes. His face was already deathly pale as he looked at Hu Qi with a dazed gaze. "But a defeat is a defeat. You don't have the strength to fight anymore," Hu Qi said with a pale face. He did not refute Shangguan Chunfeng's words, as if he had acknowledged Shangguan Chunfeng's strength. If Shangguan Chunfeng was given 3 more months, he might not have been able to defeat him. "That's right. A defeat is a defeat," Shangguan Chunfeng said as he turned around and retreated. "Brother Chunfeng has lost." In the spirit ancient village, all the youngsters were at a loss. "Brother Hu Qi is invincible. Brother Hu Qi is too powerful." Compared to the tribe of tiger hunters, the younger generation was boiling with excitement. In the arena, many eyes were filled with astonishment. "I didn't expect Hu Qi to have reached the peak of the 6th level of the profound origin realm. Not bad. Hu Qi has been tempered since he was young, but Shangguan Chunfeng didn't. They are about the same age. If Shangguan Chunfeng had been tempered as well, the result might have been different." Some of the elders were discussing and praising Hu Qi's strength. No one thought that Shangguan Chunfeng was weak. After all, it was extremely rare for the younger generation to reach such a stage. "I'm sorry I've lost." Shangguan Chunfeng left the arena and slowly walked to the front of the Spirit Ancient Village's formation. He looked at the elders, experts, and the crowd and bowed with dim eyes. "It's not your fault. You've done your best." Shangguan Qingming opened his mouth and handed over a healing elixir to Shangguan Chunfeng. "Quickly consume it to heal your injuries." Shangguan Chunfeng didn't say anything, but took the elixir and stuffed it into his mouth. Tiu Su Yi clearly saw that Shangguan Chunfeng's hand was squeezing the elixir. At this moment, Shangguan Chunfeng was more disappointed and helpless than anyone else when the Spirit Ancient Village lost. "Brother Chunfeng, it's fine." Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Xiu, and the others also stepped forward and whispered to Shangguan Chunfeng. "I'm sorry, I'm afraid I won't be able to fulfill my promise to you. When the time comes, I'll ask my grandmother to compensate you." Shangguan Shiwei whispered to Su Yi. "It's fine." Su Yi shook his head. Although he was a little disappointed, Su Yi felt that his disappointment wasn't because he couldn't obtain the Soul Spirit's benefits, but because the Spirit Ancient Village didn't win. In these few short days, Su Yi had a very good impression of the Spirit Ancient Village and had integrated himself into the village. Looking at Su Yi's face, Shangguan Shiwei didn't say anything else. She then looked at the arena and said, "I didn't expect Hu Qi to be at the peak of the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. He is indeed very strong." Su Yi nodded. Hu Qi was undeniably strong. "If it were you, would you be able to defeat Hu Qi?" Shangguan Shiwei looked at Su Yi and asked. This. Chapter 247. From the previous exchange, Su Yi had been considering himself. If he were to go up, would he be able to contend against Hu Qi? Su Yi's final conclusion was that if he were to go up and face Hu Qi's attack, he should be able to withstand it. Although Hu Qi's martial skills were not simple, he also had the soaring 100 steps, 7 injuring fists, Overlord Fist, Mad Dragon's 3 blades, 8 Desolation Fury, and other extraordinary martial skills and trump cards. Brother Xiongzhan is invincible. Defeat the tribe of tiger hunters. The clamor interrupted Su Yi's thoughts. Su Yi raised his eyes and saw that Xiongzhan, who had been waiting at the side, had already stepped onto the stage. His body was as sturdy as a little bear. His muscles were bulging, his shoulder armor was exposed, and the golden breastplate on his chest was emitting mysterious runes. He looked like a legendary ancient war god. Everyone's gazes immediately shifted and landed on Xiongzhan. Xiongzhan did not care about the gazes around him as he walked onto the stage. A fierce aura suddenly surged out like an awakened beast. Xiongzhan, the number one of the younger generation of the wild bear tribe. No one in the younger generation dared to look down on him. Hurry up! Hurry up! W up D! Sui looked at Xiongzhan and felt the aura on his body. That invisible aura was fierce and long, with a kind of domineering aura. With such talent and aura, if he was in the outside world, he would be able to become a giant in the future. There's always someone better than you, Sui muttered in his heart. At this moment, seeing Xiongzhan, Shangguan Chunfeng, Hu Qi, and the other extraordinary young people who were about the same age, he couldn't help but feel his blood boil. Putting everything aside, coming to this world and being reborn as a human was not enough to let down this new life. Do you want to rest for a while? I can wait for you. Xiongzhan stepped onto the stage and looked at Hu Qi. An invisible fierce and domineering aura was astonishing. No need. Hu Qi looked at Xiongzhan, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. Among the younger generation, only Shangguan Chunfeng and Xiongzhan were able to make him feel fear and solemn. And just now, he had already defeated Shangguan Chunfeng. Now, as long as he defeated Xiongzhan, he would become the number one person in the younger generation. Actually, whether you rest or not, you will still lose. Warbear looked at Hu Qi and smiled faintly. Looking at the field, the originally noisy crowd immediately quieted down. This was the most crucial battle. If Xiongzhan defeated Tiger Qi, then the wild bear tribe would win. If Tiger Qi won, then the tribe of tiger hunters would still have a chance. The entire place was silent, but everyone's eyes were burning with anticipation. Looking at Xiongzhan, Hu Qi took a deep breath. He did not dare to be careless. He had just defeated Shangguan Chunfeng, so he had consumed a lot of energy. A long stick appeared in his hand. A blazing aura filled the air and flames overflowed. Facing Xiongzhan, Hu Qi did not dare to be careless. How about this? We will not use weapons. I have already seen your ancient fire stick clearly. If it is disadvantageous to you, we will fight with our physical bodies. Do you dare? Warbear looked at Hu Qi and said. He had already seen through Hu Qi's stick technique. If he used weapons, he would be at an advantage. It was better to fight with their physical bodies. With the long stick in his hand, Hu Qi's eyes flickered. Red yuan qi gushed out from his body and flowed along his arm, wrapping around the long stick in his hand. The long stick was overflowing with light. Warbear's words were filled with disdain, causing Hu Qi's fighting spirit to burn. I know you have a strong physical body. If you want to fight with your physical body, then I will fulfill your wish. Immediately after, Hu Qi nodded. He withdrew the long stick in his hand and pointed it at Warbear. He said, I can defeat you with my physical body. Feeling the aura from Hu Qi's body, Warbear's eyes slowly glowed. His body gently twisted, and a crackling sound came from his muscular body. He stretched out a pair of hands that were different from ordinary people's. They were wide and heavy. Sui looked at Warbear's hands from afar. They were different. This guy must have an extremely strong physical body. He must have cultivated some kind of physical body technique, similar to his own Origin Supreme Art's Origin Demon body. Come, I will let you attack first. Otherwise, you will say that I am taking advantage of you while you are exhausted. Warbear looked at Hu Qi and smiled faintly. Although, no matter what, you will lose. Strength speaks for itself. What's the use of arrogant words? Hu Qi said coldly. Vigorous fire attribute yuan qi gushed out from his body like waves. His battle clothes fluttered and his hair danced. He suddenly took a step forward. The moment his body moved, Strength rose from the ground and gathered at his waist. At this moment, he was like a fierce tiger pouncing on its prey. His strength and speed reached the extreme. Swish, Hu Qi instantly covered the short distance of a few dozen meters. He did not hold back his peak 6th level Yuan Profound Realm aura from the very beginning as he pushed it to its limit. Clenching his fist tightly, he directly punched towards War Bear as a blazing wave of air gushed out from his fist. Flaming Tiger Fist. With a low shout, Hu Qi's aura surged to the sky. The shadow of a tiger was faintly discernible in the wind in front of his fist. The tiger shadow looked covetously, ready to pounce. A fierce tiger pouncing on its prey was mixed with a fierce and blazing aura. Flaming Tiger Fist. This is Brother Hu Qi's trump card. A young man from the tribe of tiger hunters said in secret. His heart was beating faster. Flaming Tiger Fist was one of the most important martial skills of the tribe of tiger hunters. Ordinary people could not successfully cultivate it, but Hu Qi did it. Flaming Tiger Fist was also Hu Qi's ultimate move. Very smart. You want to end the battle quickly. Su Yi stared at Hu Qi. This guy's first attack was like this, it seemed like he was going all out. Su Yi knew that Su Yi's battle with Shangguan Chunfeng had consumed a lot of his energy. He wasn't suited for a long battle and wanted to end it quickly. Boom! Hu Qi's fist arrived in front of him in an instant. Hu Qi's fist carried a blazing aura that engulfed the entire area. The air was filled with the smell of flames. War Bear's expression did not change much in the face of such a powerful attack. He did not find it strange. Seeing the incoming punch, War Bear's pupils rapidly dilated. War Bear began to raise his palm, and a dark black yuan qi began to spread out. Boom! The fist was already less than 3 feet away from his eyes. At this moment, Xiongzhan also suddenly raised his right arm. His palm was already completely covered with dark black yuan qi. His right palm suddenly pushed out, and like lightning, it directly collided with the fist. Chapter 248. As the palms and fists collided, layers and layers of light swept out. Visible to the naked eye, the tiger-like light on Hu Qi's fist only paused for a brief moment before it was blasted away. Crackle, waves of dark light rushed out from Xiongzhan's palms and dispersed the tiger-like shadow. At this moment, Hu Qi seemed to have sensed something as his expression changed drastically. At the same time, the experts and elders of the tribe of tiger hunters and the spirit ancient village were all shocked. Only the elders of the wild bear tribe, Xiongsan, and the other experts were secretly smiling as they were confident. The experts and elders of the wild bear tribe were well aware of Xiongzhan's true strength. Xiongzhan's cultivation was at the 7th level of the Yuan Profound Realm, which was enough to sweep everything aside and crush his peers. This time, the wild bear tribe was bound to win. If it wasn't for the appearance of the barbaric void panther, the wild bear tribe would have won all 3 rounds. Peak of the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. That's just the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Let's end this. Just as Hu Qi's expression changed drastically, Xiongzhan's overbearing words came out from his mouth. Boom! As Xiongzhan's palm struck, the dark light shone brightly. A violent and ferocious storm surged out and instantly exploded. PFFF, Hu Qi's face instantly turned pale as he staggered backward. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. After taking a few steps back, Hu Qi finally stabilized his body. He stomped on the ground with his final step, causing the ground beneath his feet to crack and shatter. Only then did he stabilize his body. But in the end, Hu Qi's body swayed and he almost fell on his butt. Seeing Hu Qi spit out a mouthful of blood, the entire arena fell into a deathly silence. Almost everyone looked at each other in dismay and were dumbstruck. Hu Qi, who defeated Shangguan Chunfeng, was at the peak of the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm and the number one of the younger generation in the tribe of tiger hunters. But he was defeated in one move. Huff, huff. After a short pause, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard in the entire arena, one after another. 7th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. Su-yi looked at Xiongzhan in the middle of the field, his eyes also jumping. At this very moment, the aura rippling from Xiongzhan's body had clearly reached the 7th level of the Yuan Profound stage, surpassing Hu Qi's peak 6th level Yuan Profound stage. Xiongzhan is already at the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm. Whether it was the tribe of tiger hunters, the elders of Spirit Ancient Village, or the experts, all of them were trembling at this moment. Xiongzhan is only 19 years old, right? He's already at the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm. In the past 200 years, there hasn't been such a talented individual. 10 years ago, that place belonged to the Wild Bear tribe. When Xiongzhan was young, he was tempered there. He's even stronger than Tiger Qi. With such astonishing talent, the strongest in this generation of youths is War Bear. If Chen Feng could be sent in to temper himself at such a young age, he shouldn't be any weaker than them. A strong cultivator from the Spirit Ancient Village sighed regretfully. Shangguan Chunfeng had lost some opportunities before. Because of this, the Spirit Ancient Village wanted to win this time. They couldn't afford to lose again. Unfortunately, things didn't go as they wished. The Spirit Ancient Village still lost this time. 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm. The tribe of tiger hunters was dumbfounded. Many of them had disbelief in their eyes. The elders and experts were even more shocked. They didn't expect Xiongzhan to be so powerful. He had never revealed his true cultivation strength. At such a crucial moment, Xiongzhan soared to the sky and shocked everyone. We won, we won. Brother Xiongzhan is invincible. Brother Xiongzhan is mighty. Enthusiastic cheers came from all directions within the Wild Bear tribe. They were boiling with excitement. Some of the elders even revealed smiles. Xiongzhan's face was also filled with smiles. He lifted his eyes to look at Tiger Qi and said, "You've lost. The difference between the peak of the 6th level of the Origin Profound Realm and the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm is too great. You can't surpass me." Blood trickled down the corner of Tiger Qi's mouth. His eyes were lifeless and his face was pale. He had always felt that Xiongzhan was his strongest opponent. If Xiongzhan was also at the peak of the 6th level of the Origin Profound Realm, Tiger Qi was confident that he could put up a fight even if he had to consume a lot of energy. But now, facing an opponent like Xiongzhan who was at the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm, Tiger Qi knew that he couldn't win. "That's right, I've lost. But if we were at the same level, you wouldn't be able to defeat me," Tiger Qi said as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Chapter D, Q Section QV. Gee, I don't think so. So what if you've reached the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm? You're welcome to challenge me at any time, Xiongzhan said indifferently. If they were at the same level of cultivation, he was absolutely confident that he would win. "I will." Tiger Qi said these 3 words before he turned around and left the stage. "I never thought that Xiongzhan would be so strong. This time, the Wild Bear tribe has won." Shangguan Shiwei's voice entered Su-yi's ears. "Xiongzhan is indeed strong." Su-yi nodded his head. He was sincerely praising Xiongzhan. Such talent and strength was extraordinary. "Isu." A faint voice was heard as a tall and straight figure walked over. He had an outstanding charm and an angular face. Although his complexion was pale, his eyes were filled with sharpness. Su-yi raised his eyes and was a little astonished. It was Shangguan Chunfeng, who didn't speak much and was very cold. "I heard about the incident at the Demon Azura Mountain. Were you really the one who killed those 2 barbaric beasts?" Shangguan Chunfeng looked at Su-yi. After he came out of seclusion, he heard about the incident at the demon Azura mountain. The tribe of tiger hunters Tiger Cub and the wild bear tribes Xiong Lai brought their barbaric beasts to the demon Azura mountain. In the end, they were all killed by Sui. The cultivation of the earth aura barbaric bear and the rock-splitting demonic tiger were very powerful. That's right. Sui nodded his head. He had a good impression of Shangguan Chunfeng, who didn't speak much and had a cold temperament. Especially after Shangguan Chunfeng's defeat. Sui could feel that the one who felt the most regret was Shangguan Chunfeng himself. However, he didn't show it. He suppressed it in his heart and endured it alone. The spirit ancient village has already received a lot of kindness from you. However, I would like to ask you for one more thing. If you can agree to it, I, Shangguan Chunfeng, am willing to be a cow or a horse for the rest of my life. Shangguan Chunfeng looked at Sui and gritted his teeth as he said those words. His eyes were filled with a hint of pleading, but his temperament was still arrogant. Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock and the other youngsters were surprised when they heard Shangguan Chunfeng's words. Not far away, the experts and elders of the spirit ancient village also noticed it and cast their gazes over. That's too serious. If I can do it, I will do my best. Sui nodded his head. For such a man to say such words, there must be something important. Chapter 249. But Xiongzhan has already won. According to the rules, the wild bear tribe has already won. Sui was astonished. If they wanted to challenge Xiongzhan, there shouldn't be a problem. But according to the rules, the wild bear tribe had already won. That's right, Brother Chunfeng. The wild bear tribe has already won. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Xiu, and the rest of the youngsters were also puzzled. It seemed like they couldn't change anything. No, there is indeed such a rule. It's just that not many people know about it. Suddenly, Shangguan Shiwei seemed to have thought of something. Her eyes surged with radiance like stars that rose in the darkness, sparkling. According to the rules, Xiongzhan might have won, but if there is still a challenge, then it's not over yet. Shangguan Chunfeng said to Shangguan Rock and the rest. He then looked at Sui and continued, Xiongzhan has already won. According to the rules, this challenge is very dangerous. Only by challenging Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear that he subdued at the same time and defeating them would the challenge be effective. According to the ancestral rules, if someone from the same generation isn't convinced, they can issue a challenge. But this challenge has to be against the winner and the savage beast that he subdued at the same time. Shangguan Shiwei's eyes were filled with excitement. She actually forgot about this rule. Originally, the spirit ancient village had already lost, so the existence of this rule was meaningless. The strongest had already lost. Who else would be able to challenge the final victor and his mount? This was an absolutely impossible matter. Therefore, this ancestral rule had never been used before. But the situation was different now. Shangguan Shiwei clearly knew that with this young man in front of her, the spirit ancient village might still have a chance. Challenging the fierce red wild bear and Xiongzhan at the same time. Suyi's eyes moved. He wasn't worried about Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear, but he was astonished that there was such a rule. If anyone could defeat the winner and the savage beast that he subdued at the same time, they would be the final winner. Why would there be a need for a challenge? I know that this request is a little difficult, but Xiongzhan has already reached the 7th level of the Origin Profound Realm. With the addition of the Scarlet Raging Bear, I'm afraid that he won't be easy to deal with. If he loses, he might be seriously injured. Shangguan Chunfeng looked at Sui with an awkward expression. He believed that he would only be able to take on War Bear in one move. Moreover, there was also the Scarlet Wild Bear that was already at the 7th level of the Demon Profound Realm. Such a Scarlet Wild Bear was even stronger than a 7th level Yuan Profound Realm martial artist. Originally, Shangguan Chunfeng wouldn't have thought of this. However, after hearing about what Su Yi had done in the Demon Azura Mountain, he decided to take a gamble. Looking at Su Yi, Shangguan Chunfeng paused for a moment. Looking at Su Yi, he continued, "Yi Su, as long as you win the challenge, I, Shangguan Chunfeng, am willing to be your slave in the future. Brother Yi Su, if you are confident, then make your move." Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Yi and the rest had pleading looks in their eyes. They hoped that Su Yi would make his move and fight the final battle for the Spirit Ancient Village. This was the last chance for the Spirit Ancient Village. Su Yi looked at Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock and the rest. His gaze swept across them and finally landed on Shangguan Chunfeng. He smiled and said, "Do you have a piece of origin stone? Or ordinary elixirs?" Hearing this, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock and the rest were astonished. They curiously looked at Su Yi. They didn't know why Su Yi wanted origin stones and elixirs at this moment. Shangguan Chunfeng was also astonished. However, he immediately took out a few pieces of origin stones. They were all one-star origin stones and said, "Elixirs are very rare here. In the entire Spirit Ancient Village, there are only 2 alchemists. As for origin stones, I have a few on me. Brother Yi Su, why do you need origin stones and elixirs?" "I have some on me too." "I have some on me too." Instantly, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Xiu and the rest of the young men and women took out their treasures. There were origin stones and some low-grade elixirs. "1 piece is enough." Su Yi smiled and took a piece of origin stone from Shangguan Chunfeng's hand. He tossed it in his palm. "All right, Tiger Chi has lost. Xiongzhan is victorious. The final winner of this battle is the Wild Bear Tribe." The words of the old man from the Wild Bear Tribe spread out. His voice wasn't loud, but it resounded throughout the entire place. "Roar!" The fierce red wild bear roared. Its huge body was already towering in the middle of the field. Its roar was deafening. Xiongzhan's feet touched the ground and his origin chi swept out. His muscular body was as light as a swallow. He directly jumped onto the shoulder of the fierce red wild bear. His armor glowed as he raised his hand. "We won, we won! Brother Xiongzhan, good job!" The young men from the Wild Bear Tribe were wild with joy as they cheered. Such a young man was the number 1 in the younger generation of the Wild Bear Tribe. Today's battle was enough to prove everything. "Brother Yi Su, what do you want origin stones for?" Shangguan Rock was puzzled by the deafening cheers of the Wild Bear Tribe. His face was filled with confusion as he asked curiously. Shangguan Shiwei's charming face was also filled with confusion. Su Yi smiled faintly at Shangguan Rock. Then, he looked at Shangguan Chunfeng and said, "I don't do unprofitable business. 1 origin stone and I'll help you defeat Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear. If I lose, I'll pay you back 10,000 times." As his voice faded, Su Yi tossed the origin stone in his hand. He whistled and turned around to walk into the field. "This is..." Everyone looked at each other. Brother Yi Su agreed. Immediately, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi and the others were wild with joy. Brother Yi Su agreed. Shangguan Chunfeng's eyes moved as he looked at the back of the person who walked onto the field. His long black hair fluttered in the wind as he crossed his sword behind his back. His eyes flickered with light. What is Yi Su doing? Seeing Su Yi walk onto the field, the experts and elders of the Spirit Ancient Village were puzzled. Xiongzhan, who was cheering on the shoulder of the fierce red wild bear, also noticed Su Yi walking onto the field. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Xiongzhan had seen Su Yi before and had a deep impression of him. His brother Xiong Lai was heavily injured by that young man. Xiongzhan slowly lowered his hand as he stared at Su Yi, who was walking towards him. Following Xiongzhan's gaze, everyone in the field seemed to have noticed something as they looked at Su Yi. That young man from the outside, what is he doing on the field? Is he that young man from the outside? I heard that his name is Su. He's very strong and defeated Xiong Lai before. I heard that the two brothers, Hu Mo and Hu Yu, were both defeated by him before. Immediately, discussions broke out within the hunting tiger tribe and the barbarian bear tribe. Their gazes curiously looked towards Su Yi, who had walked onto the stage. Chapter 250. Looks like you're doing well in the Spirit Ancient Village. Are you here to look for me? Xiongzhan was the first to speak as he looked at Su Yi, who was walking towards him at a leisurely pace. There was some doubt in his eyes. This outsider youth gave him an invisible feeling that he could not see through. He felt that this youth seemed to have come to find him. Indeed, I'm doing well. I'm here to look for you. Su Yi stopped a couple of feet away from Xiongzhan's mount, the fierce red wild bear. In the face of the towering fierce red wild bear, his body immediately appeared somewhat small and weak. However, his perfectly straight body and his relaxed expression gave off an unshakable feeling like a mountain range. Such a temperament made the elders and experts present feel moved. This outsider youth is here for Xiongzhan. Could it be that he wants to challenge Xiongzhan? Hearing the conversation between Su Yi and Xiongzhan, everyone was puzzled. I was looking for an opportunity to look for you. I didn't expect you to come knocking on my door. Xiongzhan looked down at Su Yi and didn't seem too surprised. He also wanted to find an opportunity to look for this outsider youth. He had to take revenge for his brother, Xiong Lai. He looked at Su Yi and continued, how about this? As long as you can take one of my moves, we'll call it quit. But if you can't, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Su Yi smiled faintly and ignored Xiongzhan. Instead, he suddenly turned around and looked at the wild bear tribe, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the elders and experts of the Spirit Ancient Village. Bowing slightly, Su Yi asked, May I ask if there's a rule? If someone can defeat the winner and his tamed savage beast mount, he will be the final winner? What's going on? When Su Yi's words were heard, the entire motherport was stunned. Many people did not understand what he meant. However, the gazes of the elders and experts darkened one after another. This was especially so for the experts and elders of the barbarian bear tribe. They looked at each other in dismay. Could it be the elders and experts of the Spirit Ancient Village were also astonished? No wonder Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others had gathered together to discuss something. Could it be because of this matter? Is Yi Su going to challenge Xiongzhan? Some of the Spirit Ancient Village's experts, such as Shangguan Qingming, were stunned. Then they saw hope. They knew Su Yi's approximate strength, and this was indeed their last chance. According to the rules, the person who is able to defeat the winner and his mount will be the final victor. This is an ancestral rule. No one seems to have used it before. The people in the surroundings began to whisper to each other. Some people opened their mouths, dispelling the doubts of the surrounding spectators, telling them that there was this type of ancestral rule. However, in all these years, no one in the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, or the wild bear tribe had ever used it, so many people did not know about it. There is such an ancestral rule? Is Yi Su going to challenge Xiongzhan? Some people understood and were surprised. Could it be that this young outsider, who looked young, had the strength to challenge Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear at the same time? Young man, you want to challenge? The elder of the wild bear tribe, who had been announcing the rules, asked. After a moment of doubt, his expression returned to normal. That's right. Su Yi nodded. Do you want to represent the tribe of tiger hunters or the Spirit Ancient Village? Even though the old man from the barbarian bear tribe already knew that this young man had been in the Spirit Ancient Village all this while and that he probably wanted to challenge the Spirit Ancient Village, he still looked at Su Yi and asked, The Spirit Ancient Village. Sui said. Su wants to challenge for our Spirit Ancient Village. We still have one last chance. Hearing this, the people of the Spirit Ancient Village were excited. Their eyes, which had lost all hope, suddenly shone again. We forgot about Su. With his strength, we still have a chance. The experts and elders of the Spirit Ancient Village couldn't help but feel excited. They all knew about Su Yi's achievements in the Demon Luo Mountain. Therefore, although Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear were very strong, if Su Yi wanted to challenge them, he still had a chance. The elders and experts of the wild bear tribe looked at each other and whispered to each other. They seemed to be whispering something. There is indeed such a rule, but you are just an outsider. You can't represent the Spirit Ancient Village to challenge. Then, an elder of the wild bear tribe stood up. He looked very old, with a head full of white hair and a face full of vicissitude. He gave off an invisible pressure as he looked at Su Yi and said, "He is an expert, very strong." Even from a distance, Su Yi could feel a huge pressure from the white-haired elder's gaze. His heart trembled, but he was able to suppress this pressure in his heart. This Su Yi looked at Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others in the Spirit Ancient Village. Since an outsider couldn't represent the Spirit Ancient Village, he didn't know what to do. Carrot? New equals hashtag most. Soon. Carrot Q1U, is there no one else in the Spirit Ancient Village? You actually want an outsider to challenge you? Xiong San said, looking at the group of experts in the Spirit Ancient Village. He didn't hide the ridicule in his eyes. This Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Rock, and the others looked at each other and looked at the elders in the Spirit Ancient Village. Shangguan Shiwei and Shangguan Chunfeng only knew a little about the ancestral rule. They didn't know that an outsider couldn't represent the Spirit Ancient Village. At this moment, the elders of the Spirit Ancient Village were slightly embarrassed. Indeed, an outsider couldn't represent the Spirit Ancient Village to challenge the Spirit Ancient Village. Who said that Su is an outsider? He's now a member of the Spirit Ancient Village. At this moment, a leisurely voice rang out. Above the void a light flashed. As the last word was spoken, a figure quietly appeared in the square. It was an old lady in her 60s. She had a slightly hunched back, and her hair was black with a mix of silver. There were no wrinkles on her face, and her face was rosy. Her eyes were calm. However, when this old lady appeared, the air around the square seemed to tremble for no reason. Village Chief. Village Chief Granny is here. When they saw the old lady, someone in the Spirit Ancient Village shouted excitedly. The person who came was none other than the village chief, Shangguan Qingya. Old Village Chief. At the same time, the elders and experts of the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe were also surprised. They stood up and greeted her. Granny Shangguan. Su Yi was also surprised. He didn't expect the village chief to come. Shangguan Qingya smiled at Su Yi with a kind face. Chapter 251. Among the tribe of tiger hunters, there was an old man with a dignified face and a dignified temperament. He seemed to have an extremely high status. Although he did not wish for the wild bear tribe to win, he could not allow an outsider to challenge on behalf of the Spirit Ancient Village. This was not in accordance with the ancestral rules. That's right. An outsider cannot challenge on behalf of the Spirit Ancient Village, nor is he qualified to stay here for long. The old man from the wild bear tribe also spoke. He was the great elder of the wild bear tribe and had a very high status. In terms of age, he was much older than Shangguan Qingya. Shangguan Qingya's gaze was calm as she looked at the two old men from the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters. She said calmly, "I said that Su is no longer an outsider." Not an outsider. When the crowd heard this, they were secretly surprised. Immediately there were many whispers. Even the people from the spirit ancient village were puzzled at this moment. They did not know what the village chief meant. Isu has already acknowledged me as his grandmother. That means he is my grandson. Therefore, he is naturally not an outsider. Shangguan Qingye said. Grandson. The crowd was stunned and immediately became restless. This, haha, Isu is indeed a member of our spirit ancient village. The people from the spirit ancient village were stunned. Then, someone laughed and was extremely happy. Su Yi was slightly surprised. He was originally puzzled, but then the corner of his mouth lifted into a smile. In his heart, he had already regarded himself as a member of the spirit ancient village. Qingye, this is a little far-fetched. This is indeed against the rules. The dignified old man from the tribe of tiger hunters and the great elder of the wild bear tribe looked at Shangguan Qingye. Although they seemed to be afraid of Shangguan Qingye, this was indeed against the rules. How is it against the rules? Do I, Shangguan Qingye, need you to acknowledge my grandson? Shangguan Qingye's calm gaze suddenly changed. She looked at the dignified old man and the great elder of the wild bear tribe and said with an unrelenting look, Come on, you guys tell me. How is my grandson not a member of the spirit ancient village? If you don't explain it clearly today, I won't let you off. Don't think that the spirit ancient village is easy to bully just because an old woman like me is the village chief. This, seeing Shangguan Qingye suddenly flip out, the dignified old man and the first elder of the wild bear tribe looked at each other helplessly and smiled bitterly. It was a joke that Shangguan Qingye was easy to bully. Everyone knew that Shangguan Qingye was difficult to deal with, but she was also very powerful. Ever since she became the village chief of the spirit ancient village, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe had suffered a lot. Especially 30 years ago, for some elders of the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe, it was still vivid in their minds. 30 years ago, the younger generation of the spirit ancient village, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe, had a dispute. In the end, it alarmed the elders. Shangguan Qingye had just become the village chief of the spirit ancient village, but she insisted that the spirit ancient village was in the right. Naturally, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe were not convinced, and their chiefs came out to speak. However, before the two chiefs could say a few words, Shangguan Qingye beat them up in front of everyone, 1-against-2, in front of everyone. Finally, wherever Shangguan Qingye was there, the two leaders would never show up. Say something, all of you. Come, tell me. How is it that I, Shangguan Qingye, have a grandson who is not from the spirit ancient village? Are you saying that I, Shangguan Qingye, am not from the spirit ancient village? If you can't explain yourself today, I will definitely not be polite to you. Original version 7 #B Shangguan Qingye stared at the dignified elder of the hunting tiger tribe and the first elder of the barbarian bear tribe. She looked as if she was going to condemn them and would not give up. Her aura fluctuated slightly, causing the atmosphere in the entire square to become tense. Grandma Shangguan, this is... Su Yi was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. He didn't expect that the kind and gentle Granny Shangguan had such a side to her. Judging from the reactions of the elders of the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe, they seemed to be very afraid of Grandma Shangguan. Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Chunfeng, and the rest of the younger generation of the spirit ancient village were absolutely dumbfounded at this moment. They had never seen Grandma Village Chief have such a side to her. Qingye, this is indeed a little against the rules. The dignified elder of the tribe of tiger hunters was helpless. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He felt like a scholar who couldn't reason with a soldier. It's okay for you to have a grandson, but to challenge on behalf of the spirit ancient village, this is unprecedented. The first elder of the wild bear tribe was very depressed, but he was still a little afraid. Shangguan Qingye's fiery temper seemed to have not changed after so many years. Most importantly, He knew that Shangguan Qingya's strength was definitely not to be trifled with. "All right, I won't make things difficult for you. This is indeed unprecedented, but the ancestral rules didn't say that it's impossible." Seeing the reaction of the two elders, Shangguan Qingya's aura calmed down a little. She said, "How about this? Yi Su is now considered a member of the Spirit Ancient Village, so he naturally has the qualifications to challenge. However, there is no precedent, so the Spirit Ancient Village will also take out some things. If Yi Su fails, then within 100 years, the Spirit Ancient Village will not participate in the competition that is held once every 10 years. However, if Yi Su wins, then everything will be normal. Not participating for 100 years." Hearing Shangguan Qingya's words, everyone was moved. Of course, the ones who had the biggest reaction were the elders of the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe. They knew best what it meant for the Spirit Ancient Village to not participate in the competition for 100 years. If they didn't participate in the competition for 100 years, it meant that the Spirit Ancient Village would be further away from the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. If the Spirit Ancient Village didn't participate in the competition for 100 years, it meant that for the next 100 years, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe would have one less huge opponent. Every 10 years, the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe would only need to deal with one opponent. Their chances of winning would greatly increase. Grandma Shangguan, Su Yi, was also shocked. If he lost, the Spirit Ancient Village wouldn't participate in the competition for 100 years. The price was too great. It was a gamble for the future of the entire Spirit Ancient Village. No need to say more. Grandma believes in you. Shangguan Qingya's eyes trembled. She looked at Su Yi and smiled. Her eyes regained their kindness. But Su Yi wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be able to defeat Xiongzhan and the fierce red wild bear, but the stakes were too great. It also represented a responsibility. The future of the entire Spirit Ancient Village undoubtedly fell on his shoulders. Could it be that you are afraid? Afraid that you won't be able to defeat Xiongzhan? If you are afraid of this, then how can you become an expert in the future? Chapter 252. Looking at Shangguan Qingya, Su Yi's pupils contracted slightly. She was only at the 7th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. What was there to be afraid of? Su Yi was already at the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm, so he wasn't afraid at all. He was just worried that the responsibility would be too great. Although Xiongzhan was slightly older, they were still of the same generation. If he couldn't even defeat someone of the same generation, how could he possibly step onto a colossus like the Sacred Mountain in the future? What is there to be afraid of? Su Yi replied and nodded. His eyes were surging with battle intent. Since he started cultivating, Xiongzhan was the strongest person of the same generation that he had ever met. Good, that's more like it. Shangguan Qingya smiled, and turned to look at the dignified elder of the tribe of tiger hunters and the grand elder of the wild bear tribe. She said, I believe that the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe should have no problems now. Of course, Yi Su is also considered a member of the Spirit Ancient Village. So be it. However, if Yi Su is defeated, the Spirit Ancient Village will not be able to participate in the decennial competition for 100 years. The dignified elder of the tribe of tiger hunters and the other elders nodded in agreement after a discussion. It was obvious that the elders of the tribe of tiger hunters were afraid of Shangguan Qingya. In addition, the Spirit Ancient Village not participating in the competition for 100 years was beneficial to the tribe of tiger hunters. Even if the Spirit Ancient Village won, the tribe of tiger hunters wouldn't suffer any losses. Xiongzhan, what do you think? The Grand Elder of the Wild Bear tribe lifted his eyes and looked at Xiongzhan. To be safe, he had to ask for Xiongzhan's opinion. In terms of strength, he doesn't have the qualifications to challenge me. However, I am willing to give him this opportunity. Xiongzhan had been ignored by the side and his expression was rather ugly. That kid didn't seem to care much about him when he went up. However, Xiongzhan could sense that Isu's aura was inferior to his own. Originally, he wanted to find an opportunity to avenge his younger brother, Xiong Lai. At this moment, Xiongzhan naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. War Bear stared at Sui, pausing between each word. His expression was cold as he continued, "There is no need for my mount to do anything. I alone am enough. They're going to fight. Isu versus Xiongzhan. Do you know who will win? That Isu doesn't look that big. Does he really have the strength to contend against Xiongzhan and his mount? The spirit ancient village's bet this time is not small. Some of the experts from the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe began to discuss in low voices. The stakes were not small. No one doubted War Bear's words, and no one felt that War Bear was arrogant. With Xiongzhan's talent, it had already been a very long time since such a genius appeared. All right, it's a deal. The spirit ancient village needs to defeat Xiongzhan and his mount at the same time. The great elder of the wild bear tribe looked at Shangguanqingya and nodded with gritted teeth. He knew that if he did not agree today, he would have no choice. He also believed in War Bear's strength. That foreign brat seemed to be somewhat mysterious. However, no one in the wild bear tribe would believe that he had the strength to defeat the fierce red wild bear. Furthermore, he had to defeat both the fierce red wild bear and War Bear at the same time. This was absolutely impossible. Of course, this old one always keeps her word. Shangguanqingya nodded. A smile appeared on her rosy face. She looked at Sui and said, "Go, just do your best." As her voice fell, Shangguanqingya stepped forward. Although her steps were light and slow, in a flash, her slightly hunched body had already arrived in the midst of the spirit ancient village's lineup. What a fast speed! It seems to be similar to the shrinking ground into an inch. Su Yi's eyes moved. The village chief's speed made Su Yi feel something. It seemed to be similar to the shrinking ground into an inch of the Fuyao's 100 transformation step. However, when the village chief, Shangguanqingya, executed it, it was also this terrifying. War Bear, fight according to the rules. As Shangguanqingya stepped forward, the great elder of the wild bear tribe also spoke. The great elder's words contained a deeper meaning. He was reminding War Bear not to be careless. According to the rules, he had to join forces with the fierce red wild bear. Yes, great elder. On the back of the fierce red wild bear, War Bear bowed and nodded. After discussion, we have finally decided that Isu is qualified to challenge. The rules are as usual. Isu must challenge both War Bear and his mount, the fierce red wild bear. The final victor will also be the winner of this competition. Do you all understand? +9? The elder of the wild bear tribe, who had been presiding over the competition, spoke again. His voice was calm, but it resounded throughout the square. His gaze was intentionally or unintentionally sizing up Su Yi from afar. Understood. Su Yi and War Bear nodded at the same time. Then I now announce that you can start your challenge. The elder's words were a little heavier, and his voice resounded throughout the square. Boom! As the elder announced the start of the challenge, the atmosphere in the square trembled for no reason. Swish, swish, suddenly, the gazes of the entire square fell onto Su Yi and Xiongzhan. This is the first challenge. Some people's eyes were filled with anticipation and nervousness. Especially the people of Spirit Ancient Village, all of them held their breaths as they waited. Not to mention Shangguan Rock and the other young people, even some middle-aged people were nervously clenching their fists. One had to know that this battle was related to the future of Spirit Ancient Village. This was a huge gamble. Humph, that kid actually wants to challenge War Bear and the fierce red wild bear at the same time. He's looking for a beating. He's overestimating himself. However, many people of the wild bear tribe did not care. They looked at Su-yi from afar, and some mocked and disdained him. Ignoring the surrounding gazes, Su-yi, war bear, and the fierce red wild bear looked at each other from afar. At this moment, the battle intent was brewing in the chests of the two young people, boiling and boiling. Roar! The fierce red wild bear looked down at Su-yi from above. Its eyes were as big as bells, and a fierce light shone from it. With a roar, the air around Su-yi shook the surrounding air, and the air rushed towards Su-yi, causing the dust around the square to fly up, and his robes to flutter. However, Su-yi did not move, and did not even blink his eyes. "Kid, I have to say that you're very courageous. However, sometimes courage is useless." War Bear looked at Su-yi, and the armor on his body glowed. There was a dark black earth attribute energy moving around, and it was filled with a fierce aura. It seemed to be related to the cultivation method that he cultivated, and it was somewhat domineering and fierce. Su-yi's expression did not change much in response to Xiongzhan's words. He merely looked indifferently at Xiongzhan, who was on the scarlet wild bear's shoulder, and said, "Let's attack together. I hope that you are stronger than your younger brother. Otherwise, I will be somewhat disappointed." "Isu, this kid is really..." Hearing Isu's words, some of the elders of Spirit Ancient Village looked at each other. "This kid is really arrogant. Is he really not afraid of War Bear?" Chapter 253. Kid, you're really courageous. Xiongzhan's face darkened when he heard Su-yi's words. He even dared to mention his brother. His aura surged and dark yuan qi radiated from Xiongzhan's body. Immediately, the originally hostile atmosphere suddenly became tense. "There's no need for us to team up. My mount is enough to trample you." As Xiongzhan finished his words, he stepped on the fierce red wild bear's shoulder and pointed his finger at Su-yi. His eyes were filled with disdain and arrogance. Roar! The raging red bear's roar was like thunder. The raging red bear let out a roar and directly attacked. The red light on its body was like a wave, its aura was scorching and violent. It lifted its gigantic foot and directly stomped towards Su-yi. The foot was domineering and unreasonable. It was looking down on Su-yi. The fierce red wild bear listened to Xiongzhan's words and wanted to trample Su-yi under its foot. It wanted to defeat its opponent in such a humiliating way. The fierce red wild bear attacked, and the aura of a LV7 demon profound realm swept out without holding back. It brought along a gust of wind, and the stone slabs on the ground began to shake. Boom! The huge bear's paw stomped down and instantly fell on Su-yi's head. The bear's paw carried a bright scarlet light. It seemed like there was a fire roaring, and it wanted to crush the ground under its foot. It was extremely powerful and terrifying. Such a kick made Su-yi angry. His eyes darkened and yuan qi gushed out from his body. Su-yi's black hair fluttered behind him. He shook his arm and clenched his 5 fingers into a fist. Suddenly, he threw a punch towards the sky. Instead of retreating, Su-yi moved forward and threw a punch towards the fierce red wild bear's foot. Whoosh! Seeing Su-yi's action, the crowd went into an uproar. They were surprised to see that Su-yi was going to fight a LV7 demon profound realm fierce red wild bear. Some people held their breaths and waited. Some people were on tenterhooks. Many people couldn't help but gasp for Su-yi. They were worried that Su-yi would be trampled into meat paste. In comparison, Su-yi's entire person seemed even smaller than the fierce crimson wild bear's kick. Compared to the foot, the fist was almost negligible. Some people even closed their eyes and didn't dare to look directly at Su-yi. They were afraid to see Su-yi being trampled into a bloody pulp. Boom! A fist and a kick collided with each other, but a muffled thunder-like sound was immediately heard, and a shock wave swept out in all directions. As some people were surprised. The scene of Su-yi being trampled on didn't happen as they had expected. One could see with the naked eye that the skinny yet tall figure on the plaza had single-handedly lifted up the giant leg of the fierce red wild bear, while a faint scarlet-red glow spread from the yuan qi light barrier around his body. Although the ground below his feet cracked, it was able to lift up the fierce red wild bear's leg, causing it to be unable to press down any further. Such a scene made people exclaim in admiration. Many people found it hard to believe. Impudent beast! Amidst the stunned crowd, Su Yi's eyes also surged with a special kind of fighting spirit. His eyes were stern, and the black yuan qi on his fist surged. As he clenched his fist and pushed it forward, another powerful force directly exploded out. Bang! The energy was like thunder. The fierce eyes of the fierce red wild bear trembled. Its huge foot was lifted, and its huge body staggered. Before it could even turn around, it was sent flying. Xiongzhan, who originally believed that this foot was enough to trample his opponent, had a drastic change in expression at this moment. Yuan power rushed out from his foot, and he hurriedly flew down from the fierce red wild bear's shoulder. Stomp stomp, in order to avoid the falling fierce red wild bear, Xiongzhan's foot rubbed against the ground as he staggered backwards. His expression changed. Oh! Bang! With a miserable roar, the huge body of the fierce red wild bear was sent flying and heavily smashed into the ground. Crack crack, the place where the fierce red wild bear landed cracked, and blood spurted out from its hideous mouth. The sole of the foot that was about to step on Su Yi seemed to have been blasted open. Blood flowed out from the cracks. The crowd was in an uproar. They were all shocked. In the Spirit Ancient Village, tribe of tiger hunters, and wild bear tribe, there were even some elders and experts who suddenly stood up. Looking at the fallen fierce red wild bear, all the spectators looked at each other. Even Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others, who already knew of Su Yi's strength, couldn't help but shiver. This was a 7th-level demon profound realm fierce red wild bear. An ordinary peak 7th-level yuan profound realm martial artist wouldn't be able to do anything to it. But now, in just one move, the fierce red wild bear was sent flying and severely injured. Xiongzhan, who was originally disdainful and arrogant, was overwhelmed with shock at this moment. He was on the back of the fierce red wild bear and could feel the terrifying power contained in the former's punch. It was just too powerful. It was like layers of shock waves that were endless. That punch was very strange. There were several different forces within it. Some were hard, some were soft, some were soft, some were soft, some were soft, some were horizontal, some were straight, and some were retracted. The fierce red wild bear couldn't withstand the sudden force and was instantly sent flying and severely injured. It's your turn. After sending the fierce red wild bear flying with a punch, Su Yi didn't stop for long. The fierce red wild bear being sent flying was also within Su Yi's expectations. Although the fierce red wild bear was strong, it wasn't a match for a peak 9th-level demon profound realm demonic rock tiger. Although Su Yi didn't use his trump card, the full power of the 7 injuring fist was enough to defeat it. Chi! As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yi stomped his foot on the ground, and his figure suddenly rushed towards Xiongzhan. Boom! Seeing Su Yi's figure rushing towards him, Xiongzhan recovered from the shock. The aura on his body instantly rose to the peak, and the original earth attribute Yuan Qi immediately turned into fire attribute Yuan Qi. Savage Scripture, Ancient Crimson Seal. A low shout was emitted from Xiongzhan's mouth. As fire attribute Yuan Qi gushed out, a blazing aura suddenly spun out from his palm. It carried a wave-like whistling sound as it finally gathered together. It was as if countless raging flames had gathered together to form a small sea of fire. The seal was shining brightly, and its aura was scorching and terrifying. It burned the air, and an ancient pressure swept out. Ancient Crimson Seal, that's Xiongzhan's trump card. This ancient Crimson Seal is the ultimate move of the Savage Scripture. Xiongzhan has yet to successfully cultivate it. Among the younger generation of the wild bear tribe, only Xiongzhan has successfully cultivated it. Rumor has it that it's impossible to successfully cultivate this ancient crimson seal before reaching the origin spirit realm. I didn't expect Xiongzhan to be able to cultivate it. His talent is amazing. When the seal condensed in Xiongzhan's hand, all the experts and elders present were moved. This was the ultimate move of the wild bear tribe's savage scripture. It was extremely powerful, and they didn't expect Xiongzhan to be able to successfully cultivate it. Outside the arena, Shangguan Chunfeng and Hu Qi's eyes were also trembling. This was Xiongzhan's true strength, and they knew that they wouldn't be able to contend against him. Version Y. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.